Guys, today we're going to be doing Plat League. Platinum League. Stargate opening bitches. Okay, so what are going to be the main new things is basically trying new units, right? And we're starting with like Oracles, Adepts early on, and Phoenix, okay? So Oracles, Adepts, Phoenix. And I guess we don't need this to be bold, do we? And then we're also taking a third base. Consistently. Still doing 3 base attacks and not always taking the gas. Still a big step forward in economy. Different builds for each matchup. There we go. Oracles, Adepts, Phoenix. So more Stargate openings. Stargate opening in every matchup essentially, because we haven't done one yet. Taking a third base consistently. We're still going to be very timing attack focused, but we've got different builds for each matchup. So right now, this is really basic, right? That's right up here. Here. And here. These are really basic. So something I'm going to have to do is, after playing a game of each one, I think we'll go through and kind of fill it out a little bit. Now, obviously, I've probably got write-ups of nice builds elsewhere. So I guess if I just go pig notes, maybe I can just steal something from here, actually. Let's see. Do I have anything nicely written? I probably don't, actually. Stalker, 230 Stargate. Stalker Nexus. Oh, Oracle Expand. Let's take that. That looks delicious. That looks like a very solid build order. Oh, very nice. Let's take that. Yeah. What was the advice about cheese? Stop talking about cheese. It's not a thing. That was it. Basically, like, everyone's like, man, I get cheese so much all the time. Don't even call it cheese. Be specific and engage with what it actually is. And okay, I got proxy gated, and like, it's always the most basic mistakes people are making. And the most basic mistake, whenever you're like, man, and now I'm in X League, or I'm stuck in X League, and I just got cheese 5 games in a row. And I'm always like, what does that even mean? Like, what is a cheese? There's so many different attacks that can hit you. And then they're like, well, I died to like 2 proxy gates, then I got cannon rush, then there was a proxy barracks build. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, those all kind of, like, you know, most of those fit into the same category. Like, how did you not just rewind after the first game? Look at, okay, I scouted, I saw no buildings, but it took me a minute to realize, and then there was units in my base and I died because I didn't react. And you're like, okay, let's remember to look at my scout next time. And when I do see their 1 base, what's my 1 base reaction again? I haven't been cheesed. I haven't been attacked in ages by a proxy. And you go and review what that list is. And then bam, you've got it. The problem people are, he's just cheesing me. He's doing an invalid strategy. And then they just fucking rage queue into the next game and they'd make no adjustments, right? The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Indeed, Squatting Slav. Indeed. So, so with this one, that's a second gate scout, proxy pylon, and then scout the enemy base. Okay, so that's advanced shit. We don't want that. That's super advanced. We're just gonna scout after our first gate, so keep it chilled out. We're still gonna do a 4 stalker build. After scouting, hide on edge for a proxy pylon. And that's going to be probably our 39 pylon. Then go home. Now that's obviously pretty advanced as well here. So do we really need to do that? Nah, this is an extra piece. This is too many pieces for platinum. Never mind. Fuck that. Doesn't matter. This is a very, very chilled out opening. I really would like there to be some more adepts in there. But we'll just warp them in from home and shade them across. That'll be fine. Yeah, and then we'll just go 2 sentries, and then Do we want 2 sentries? I mean, sentries are great units. Yeah, sentries are good. We might as well. We don't need to, of course, you know. Just using pure Stalker is a bit easier, a bit more noob friendly, but the idea is we could do it based on how we feel. We'll see what happens. Do we want Twilight Forge? Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. We're starting to do more forges as well, actually. Oh, forges! We're going to start actually making upgrades. Oh my god. So we're actually going to start upgrading. That's a new thing in Plat League as well, guys. Oh, check this out. Glad Terran Guide's been helping you out, Chris. Strategy in a strategy game? Can't we all just blindly go 5 base? Oh, can we play island maps again? I want an island with 4 bases on it, please. You have your island with 4 bases. And then I get angry. Because your carriers beat my battle cruisers or some shit. Well, that'd be pretty impressive, I guess, if carriers beat battle cruisers, actually. That'd be pretty sick. We have like 1 battle cruiser for 4 carriers. BCs should kick the shit out of carriers, but who knows. Anyways, the idea there is we'd probably just go... We'll add to this anyway as we play it out, because it's going to make sense as I'm explaining what we're doing. But basically, the summary of the build, right? Into 2 or 3. We're gonna... It could be either. 3 base has no gas equals 52. Would it be 52 probes? No gas and only half minerals. Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it, because then you're basically going, yes, I'm only half saturating my 3rd, but because soon after that gets half saturated, you're going to move workers down from your main anyway, because it's going to start running out of minerals. So kind of works out. Whereas if you go up to a full 60 probes, you're like, yes, I saturated my 3rd. And then your main half runs out 30 seconds later and you're like, oh, fuck, they've got nowhere to mine from. So it makes sense. All right, cool. Anyway, the whole point is we're just going to kind of work forwards from there. We'll get a Robo as well. Twilight, Forge, Robo. We'll probably batch those all together. And then we'll basically be skipping Blink entirely. And we'll just be going for, you know, 8 gate, 4 gas. Do we get a 3rd Nexus first, maybe? Maybe we go straight for the 3rd Nexus if we can get away with it. Kind of depends on what's going on, of course. But yeah. So I think we'll be like, all right, yeah. Then we'll get a third base, 8 gate, 4 gas. So we probably want to go... If you think about it, what you'd do is you'd go... No, this is how you do it. You get your 3rd and 4th gate plus 3rd and 4th gas. So you get your natural gases. Then you take your 3rd Nexus, 3rd base. Then you go 4 more gates up to 8. And 2 Immortals, Prism, you know, Mass Zealot, Archon, go. All right, so check it out. PVZ is going to be 2 Adept opening off a normal expand build, 2 Oracles, 3 base, Charge Immortal Archon. PVT, I was thinking of swapping into Disruptors, actually, after going 8 gate charge. So there will be a 3 base transition. Maxan! What the hell, mate? Oh, did it not click on? Thank you, Dot. I'm not doing an AMD stream today, by the way. We'll do one next week. But it is always an AMD stream because we are sponsored by AMD. My man. Good luck, have fun. All right, guys, we're playing a PvP, right? PvT versus Maxan. So it's time to learn how to wall off the Reaper Ledge. All right, guys. So how do you wall off the Reaper Ledge? Well, the trick here is you want to place it there, and then we want to go like gate, core, and that should wall that off. Now, keep in mind, what did I say at the end of last week's session? I said, oh, I really need to actually show you guys Gemini's wall off guide, which is a great resource. I have not looked at it, and so chat is going to have to remind me to do that after this game, okay? Because this is a wall off I'm making up. I've got a dirty little secret I wanna say to you guys. I have not actually... Why is there no AMD logo in game? Okay, that's weird. I don't know why that got turned off. Oh, is that maybe blocking something during a first-person view cast? Ah, maybe. Sorry. Fixing up our logos here. So anyway, I don't do these Reaper walls normally on ladder, but there have been periods in the game where I absolutely adore them on previous map pools where people get really annoying with Reapers. I think the reason I've been skipping this is at high level recently, it hasn't been as popular for players to go for Reapers and to be as annoying with their Reapers as it was a little while ago. So anyways, guys, we're gonna just go around with our probes, scout, hide behind the natural. Remember, we've paused probes, we built the cyber core, and these first few games in Platinum, we're learning entirely new builds and trying to do Stargate builds. Just keep that in mind, guys. He's going for a command center, so we can just go home. We don't need to worry. We build a probe, we build a gas, we build another probe, and then we build a second pylon. Now, where do we want to build that pylon? Let's just build it up there, I guess. You could build it on your natural, but I'm just going to build it there for now. This guy, of course, is running home. Let's set up my camera locations. We're going to go third there, fourth there, fifth there. Now, the real trick, or the real interesting thing, is we are learning so many new things in this league now. The first thing is Stargate builds. And a regular thing with Stargate builds is we don't start Warp Gate straight away. So we chrono the Adept, but we don't actually want to be going straight for the thingamajig. Oh my god, what are you doing, pig? Alright, just fix up that saturation. There we go. So you want to go Warp Gate after you start the Stargate, because Stargate's very expensive, and otherwise you do have some trouble with that. Now, in general, we're always going to send our Adept across, and we're going to chrono the second Adept as well, and then chrono probes on our natural. Now, this is just a good habit. So if a Reaper does come in while this one's going to scout, it's going to be out on time to defend. But otherwise, that Adept will go guard our natural. We want to make a third Adept as well, and 3 Adepts plus Phoenix production is going to keep us very safe, okay? So we have the Phoenix production there, that can also go to the front. And if you want, you just throw the shade here, and all you're checking is what's on that add-on. And that there looks like either an early stim or concussive shell marauders. The point being is it's not a factory. That's all we're going to simplify that to for now, guys. And I'll talk more about it later and kind of what all this means. For now, you want to make sure, whoops, that we get up to 3 gateways. Okay, so you got 3 gates, you got 3 adepts. And what we're going to do is, if you're really wanting to be sneaky, you can hide your Phoenix. Really high level cool thing to do, right? Super awesome maneuver. Why are we not going to do that? Because it's unnecessarily fancy, okay? For us, we just want to get scouting info. And what we're going to do is notice we rally our Phoenix to our Phoenix. We're building a few extra pylons. We've got 3 gateways, so we can add more units on top of these adepts if needed. After you go to 3 gateways, obviously keeping up probe production, you want to build a nexus. You always want to build a probe on that nexus immediately. And a very common thing is to try and put spotters on the edges and that sort of stuff. We're not going to really bother too much. So let's go in and we can do a bit of harass and also see what we're up against. And oh my god, that's a 3 racks, guys. Oh my. So we are going to get attacked by a lot of stuff. So we're going to try and put the Phoenix out here to spot it. We're going to make lots of adepts to make sure we can fight it. Keep making Phoenix, make another pylon, and try and get up a whole bunch of adepts so we can stop the first marine attack when it comes. And in the meantime, we're going to think about what normally is the next transition. It's Twilight after the 3rd and Forge. And the idea here is you can get +1, upgrade, and you can go into the other stuff, the charge. And we're going to stop at 5 Phoenix. I think is going to be a nice default figure that we stop at every game to not go too crazy. You can go way higher if you really love Phoenix, but we're going to stop at 5. And we see his pushes coming, so let's get 3 more. We should have already built the shield battery, but I'm an idiot, so I forgot to build my shield batteries. But we've got 9 adepts and the Phoenix. And the trick here is going to be, we're going to try and shade on top and fight all at once. Notice I built a bunch of gateways there. I'm going to build that one too. That'll put us on 8 gateways. We're going to start charge, +1. Cancel the battery, run the probes away. And what are we doing, guys? We're going to control click these shades, click them in the middle of the Marines, and we want the Phoenix and the Marines to go in at once. And notice we're just trying to already just pick up as many of these Marines as we can. Looks like I accidentally picked up one of my adepts there. That's what we call clicking like a noob. You guys can learn this at Pig School of how to be a friggin' noob. Chrono boost these 2 upgrades. And notice we're doing this all off 2 gases. So this is a very mineral heavy build. We want to get 3 mineral lines up as quickly as possible. Now, what have we been missing? Detection. So getting a robo is really important. After you go up to 8 gateways, you drop the robo. 8 gateways is more important because actually making zealots to defend yourself is the most important thing. Notice we're just going to spam pickups here. Now, because he's killed most of my Phoenix, this is where you double down and you keep building Phoenix, or you swap to Blink and you say, well, you know what? The Phoenix are kind of past their use by date. That's fine. Let's get 1 sentry for Guardian Shield. Would have been awesome if we had that earlier. Gonna keep building probes. And this is where we're gonna actually start a transition. Now, you can just kill your opponent with Zealots. Don't get me wrong. You can do that. And we're gonna be making Zealots a whole bunch at a time. But notice we're very low on gas. And what you can do if you want to go to the next stage is you can take 4th base. Notice we're still building these pylons constantly, right? Just making sure. But notice we've reset the rally points, right? So the main and the natural rally there, and this one rallies here. This idea is basically saying excess probes are going to be stacking up on these bases next to these gases. And then you can just go there, keep queuing up probes, and you can just grab the probes, chuck them on the gases, and then you've got all your gases saturated. Now, why would you do that? Because not only are we building a warp prism to help us attack with zealots, but this is also where the natural next part of the build is. And this is a swap in style from zealots and Phoenix, basically A move and lift, to stalkers and disruptors. And this is actually the plan. And we're going to go +1 attack, +1 armor, +1 attack, +2 armor. So we're just going to do upgrades one at a time this whole time, okay, guys? So the idea here is let's go do a big zealot attack because we'd normally do this. Throw away our adepts at the same time. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use our Phoenix defensively, guys. So I don't actually want to put these guys on a hotkey anymore. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say, you guys patrol the edges, and that way it'll spot drops coming and that sort of stuff. It's like a really simple way of saying, I don't really want to prioritize you guys being on my army anymore. We can saturate that. We've now got a 4th over there. Beautiful, beautiful. If our opponent was being more aggressive, we could drop cannons as well. Behind this, we can go disruptors, stalkers, all that sort of stuff. But first, what we want to do is say we got 3 mineral lines up and we want to A-move our zealots. Okay, guys? So let's do it. Get the sentry up in front so that the Guardian Shield works, all right? And A-move. I don't know what we're going into, but let's pop that Guardian Shield in a moment. We're just going to micro the sentry. And look at that. Beautiful Guardian Shield there. And we're going to try and move over to the right. All right, beautiful. Now, hands off, guys. Let's focus on our macro. So what do we want? Stalkers. Let's try and get the gases there. Let's get the double disruptors building. And we're going to swap into that. Now, part of what we're doing here is not something you're going to do when you're in Platinum. You're not going to be swapping immediately into 3 different build orders, drastically different unit compositions for each matchup. This is something I want you guys to try and learn steadily from when you start getting into Platinum League, is pick one matchup. Maybe it's your weakest matchup or the matchup where you're least comfortable with the build order you were doing before, and go, okay, that's the one we're going to learn a new build order in. And give yourself plenty of games to get used to that build order before you start learning a new build and new fancy units that you've never used, like Phoenix in every single matchup. Some people like to do it, and it really comes down to personal preference, where they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to do this build, this Phoenix and Zealot build, in all 3 matchups just to get used to the new units. And that's an easier way of keeping it one step at a time. But keep in mind, we really want you guys to be able to pick up and focus on one thing at a time. And the point of this show is always going to be, I'm going to be showing you guys things at a much faster rate than you can actually learn them. You need to put a lot more games into practice to take advantage of it. So let's go back and review the build and have a little bit of a think about kind of how this one unfolded, and also write the details up in the document as we go. So if we go back to the start, it's a pretty standard opening, right, guys? So one of the new things we wanted to talk about, first thing first, this Reaper wall-off. Now this one's pretty simple. You see that these things are actually, these are nice little markers, these little black things. So they as long as you kind of wall off below that and to the left of that, it's fine. They can jump up here with a Reaper, but they can't get in unless they do a really cool Reaper grenade bounce or something. So let's go out, guys. Protoss, Reddit. All things Protoss. So let's go over there and take a look at Gemini's guide. I actually think we might have put that in here, right? All things. Did we put it in our Bronze to GM? Apparently not. Didn't we? I could have sworn we did. All right, full wall. We've got a link to the Imgur. So anyway, great subreddit is over here, guys. Reddit all things Protoss. Apparently I'm not logged in. Let me log that in so it remembers me dark mode. Hold on a sec. This is kind of weird right now. There we go. So here's a nice forum you guys can go on if you're Terran or Zerg, all things Terran, all things Zerg on Reddit. Great things here. Obviously, Gemini has not been keeping his build of the weeks up to date, as that's a 9-month-old build of the week. What can I say? Gemini's dropping the ball. But a bunch of other people have been there. Was there a certain point where players swapped from Stalker Colossus to Charged Automodel Archon, and people are just talking about different things. You could post a replay up here. People are talking about how do I defend the Queen Walk. Lots of cool things going on. Now, of course, if we scroll down the right side, we've got all these resources that get linked to, right? Where is it? Pezaperi's Cannon Rush, Spawning Tool, Gemini's 2021 Season 2 Wall-Off Reaper Guide. And if you click on that, it's going to take you over here, essentially. And he's got these pictures of all these wall-offs, and he's got the pylon selected, so you can kind of see, because remember, the pylon's the first thing you select, right? So here's an example of a pretty good wall-off. I don't think this is the best wall-off, because if that gateway is up one space, he has a bit of a thicker gap in the overlap, in the wall-off I've talked about. It's a very good wall-off, but this gateway on the left also has a lot of surface area on it, which is a little vulnerable to 12 pool. These are not perfect, but they'll get you by. They are pretty darn good. Now, here he shows, hey, check it out. You can actually wall off with a single pylon. Like this, if you want. But the pylon could get blown up by banelings. It's a little bit of a meme wall, as he says. He's just throwing an idea out there. We've got all these different walls. Let's scroll down. We don't really care about the front wall offs. I've already told you guys, in general, none of the maps are very complicated at the moment. You just put the pylon there. Guys, can you link up Bronze to GM for Akka? A few people are asking if this will be on YouTube and that sort of stuff. Always just make sure the power field's touching the edge on the natural and you'll be fine. Let's get down to the Reaper wall-off. So these are the more interesting ones. So here's a Reaper wall-off, guys, which is not so much about blocking the jumping ledge, but it's about blocking off the rotation in your mineral line, right? So notice that the whole point is if a Reaper runs in here, it can't get out there. And if it tries to run out, it's only got this one space gap. It could run out the other side of the Nexus that we can't see. But the whole point is you can always just block it with a single probe there. You can just A-move the Reaper and catch it, essentially. It just makes it harder for the Reaper to get in there and chase probes down because it's kind of trapping itself in a corner. Now here we see a really cool example. 2,000 Atmospheres has 2 Reaper ledges. He points out, hey, here's a really good wall. If you put a pylon there, you can just put a gateway and then another gateway on this angle. Now, there is another ledge there, though, so if you want to do it on 2,000 Atmospheres, you do need to put another single pylon there to block the other Reaper ledge, and then you can do it. Okay, cool. So if you guys are learning them, go into each of these maps in a custom map. One of the easiest things you guys can do, which not enough people do, is do that. And I guess I'll show you guys right now, because this is something you got to be doing. A lot of people are like, man, I don't know how I could practice. The hell, I remember it. Just host the map. Custom, melee, you've got all the Blizzard maps popping up the top there. Host 2,000 Atmospheres, hop in there, practice the wall off, and just do it straight away. Doing little things like that, just so you can do it, rather than, oh, I did it in a ladder game, and then I misplaced it by one pylon, and my whole build was... If you guys struggle with putting stuff into practice like this, just take a few games, do an empty custom game like this. It'll say victory at the start, you just click continue game, and you can practice your wall off. So there's a great little resource there. You can spend your own time doing this at your own pace. Victory! Quick return to game. Alright, so obviously I'm not going to do a proper build. I'm just going to wait to have enough minerals, and I'm going to look at it. So guys, here's the 2 ledges. We can rotate the camera a little bit, but actually I don't have the settings on to do that. But basically there's a mini ledge there and a mini ledge here. It's easier to see on the other side of the map, just because of the perspective, but it's identical. So remember, we can just go pylon like there, and then we can just build 2 gateways, and that should be fine. But wait, couldn't he jump up there? Well, I don't think so. And if we do that, I don't think we can actually get a gateway fully walling it. If we go here, I know it seems like they might be able to jump up there, but as I said, usually they can't jump over that thing, so that should be completely fine. Chat, you guys can call me out, people who've actually been doing their wall-offs. And notice, remember you can always fit 2 gateways next to a pylon, or a gateway and a cyber core. So then you can just go gateway, imagine this is your cyber core, this other building, and look at that, we can't get in there. Beautiful. And then you just build 1 pylon there, easiest placement of all time, and your main base is walled off. So if you guys have nightmares with Reapers, they trigger you, they piss you off, doing this sort of wall off can be really nice. The other example of the wall off would be, well, okay, often the Reaper jumps in here, runs into my mineral line, and starts killing stuff. So a very common one that a lot of people will do is just like this. You put your pylon there, and this is what I do more often these days, and then you'll build your gateway here, so there's that single space gap, and your cyber core will go there, so they can't. If they want to get in, they have to go through this little choke point, which is scary, or they have to go around the other side, which of course is bringing them closer to your natural expand, where any stalkers will be coming up to defend. So I put my first gateway there, and I put my cyber core there. And you can see that Reaper's coming in. If it goes too deep, you can do that. Or if you even see the Reaper coming in, you know what you can do? Super pro move. You can put a pylon down, and the Reaper can't chase your workers down anymore. You just keep pulling back the weak ones that he shoots. Just cute. Cute little way of doing it. So these are great ways you can practice your wall-offs 1,000 different times. Maybe you guys keep placing your pylon wrong on this map on the natural, and you keep fucking up your wall-off. One trick people like to do is they look at this unbuildable plate as a sort of benchmark, because you see that's exactly the space of a pylon, and they'll go, oh, it's always 4 spaces to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where my pylon goes. Obviously, that's not correct. Maybe it's 6. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that looks about right. I think I always do it 6 spaces to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, build grid. If you guys it doesn't look like for you, make sure you display build grid. So, and then once that's down, we can make our opening. So, as always, guys, if we build a gateway there, that's kind of awkward because we want to have like this. It's not the worst wall off, except for the fact that this front gateway is so exposed. It can get sniped down really easily. That's really bad. The good thing about it, though, is you can easily wall off behind it if you're in an emergency. Now, I normally wouldn't put the pylon there because that power field is too far to the left. I would normally have this pylon down and to the left a little bit. I just do the pylon field touching the edges. I find that works better for me than counting out spaces. That was just an example. If you find, 5 spaces out, or 2 spaces down, then 6 spaces to the right, maybe. Whatever the thing is, you guys can count it out. Come up with your own rules and just memorize it for each map, and it really makes the game a lot more chill. If you guys are misplacing your wall-offs all the time, it can really stress you out. So, that last game, we did get some MMR there, guys. First game in Platinum. Oh, not that one. That was this one. So we managed to beat Brainless there. Dirty Maxan, who was sniping us. The bastard. But let's go back out and let's take a little look-see at both our replay and talk through that PBT game plan. The first one is really important for us to explain to you guys what the build order is in a bit more detail, because all I wrote before was a really, really kind of rough, a rough write-up of the build order. So there we go. Okay, so let's go back to our document here. The Reaper wall-offs are in the gold section, by the way, guys, if you want those. Let's go back down here. So PVT, I've written Phoenix, 3 gate, 3rd base. 3 gases, it says. We actually did 2 gas. Stay 2 gas is what we're doing. Then we go 8 gate charge plus 1. So 3rd base. Then it's Twilight plus Forge, right? And then it's 5 more gates, right? So we go 5 plus 5 gates, so 8 total. Charge plus 1, down 2 gas. And then we will eventually go double robo transition where we drop all the gases plus take fourth base. Cannon plus battery on each base. We don't want to do that too early on in the game by any means, but we can do that later on when you go to a fourth. And we can add blink and swap to Zealot's Stalker Disruptor as a style rather than doing the Phoenix Zealot. So what are some nice attack timings with this style, guys? Well, attack timings, basically constant Phoenix scouting and harassment. First adept pressure, right? Where if we find just 1 or 2 Marines, we can fight them. We can scout. That's going to be check if Hellions. If factory on reactor. Hellion. Big Hellion mine. Attack potential. Be very defensive. And set up your vision. Be ready to defend. Okay, but yeah, that's basically the build order, guys. It's just a very standard expand build, same as always. So, standard expand, you know? Gate gas, 20 nexus, 20 core, 21 second gas, 22 second pylon. Really chill opening. Delay warp gate till after Stargate. So it should be Stargate, so Chrono Adept, Stargate, then it's going to be Warp Gate plus Chrono Second Adept, right? Beautiful. Phoenix production, get 3 gateways. That's a pretty straightforward build order, isn't it? We've also got, of course, Mass Zealot, and we'll drop a robot as well after that. Into a prism. Mass Zealot attack, right? So we could do a Mass Zealot Phoenix attack. Yeah. Yep. Mass Zealot Phoenix attack. And then it's going to be Stalker Disruptor assaults, which are obviously all about moving around and finding good angles to drop balls on enemy face. That's how PvT style wrapped up there. If anything doesn't make sense, if there's anything that is confusing to you guys, this is a very collaborative show. I really rely on you guys asking all the dumb questions so that I answer them, because otherwise I'm going to forget to, because I take too much for granted. There's things that I just don't even think about consciously. That's where you come in, Twitch chat. Please help us out. Rinicus, thanks for the tier 1 sub, mate. Would we want to drop a few extra gateways with the 4th base? No, you're building Stalkers. They're a lot more expensive, and disruptors as well. Technically, yes, but that's kind of so far down the track. It's almost like the 4th base we probably only want as a transitionary base. Yeah, I guess eventually add 4 more gates, 412. If we're still building zealots, which we will sometimes. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. You are right. Good question. Even taking the 4th is a little bit further ahead than we should really be thinking. Even with the 4th base, we'll still never go past like 66 probes though. That's like the maximum. That's really important. Keep it contained. Yeah. Okay. Research complete. So you can see here with our build, yeah, Stargate, we've got the 2nd and 3rd gateway into the 3rd base. I think the Twilight in the Forge could have gone down a lot earlier here, as standard. Hey, I'll stay failed. No worries, mate. We haven't been live for too long today, guys. We've only played this one game. We're just talking about a lot of theory and getting the notes ready and stuff. Yep, everything's getting published on YouTube. You were cooking while you sniped me, Maxan? Hope you didn't burn your dinner, mate.
Glory to the Daylon.
What's the difference between this and Phoenix Colossus? Phoenix Colossus is very turtly and incredibly high tech, whereas because you're not having to take these gases, you get your gateways up like 5 minutes faster, and you get a giant army that you can just roam the map. And because you've got great anti-air, you can basically hunt down anything your opponent's doing with the Phoenix Colossus style. So the moment you get a few rounds of Zealots, you have a really scary army that's really good at fighting in the open. It's great against siege tanks. The only real counter to it is lots of Widow Mines, EMPs, or just a giant ball of bio, which your opponent's going to need fantastic macro to get a big enough ball of bio. So the point is you get a big fighting army that can kill your opponent, that can shut down pushes much earlier in the game, and your economy is much simpler because it's like just get 3 mineral lines and that's all you need to do. Now, I actually paused probing here, you guys will notice. So some of you might be like, well, why did you do that? And you got to think, I noticed it was a 3-rack with my Phoenix Scout, and I accidentally picked up an Adept there, it was really derpy. But notice the engagement micro is really simple. I shade my Adepts, and then I send my Phoenix in behind the shades, and just as the shades finish, I click the Phoenix into the battle, and then I just click lifts, lift, button lift, click lift, lift, lift on individual Marines so that they get gunned down. And then as soon as I hold that, I go, cool, we're fine, go back to probing. Now, I should have, the moment upon I saw it was 3x, should have also built a battery at each base just to build a bit of extra safety. I didn't really need it, and I always say battery is not as important as other things. You know, the battery is the bonus tool on top of other stuff, so it's a bad crutch. I see so many Protoss players who, anytime their opponent does anything, their response is to start building batteries everywhere. With this army, you really want to be able to go out and fight them, so the battery is a bonus. It's not the most essential thing. What's more important is warping in the Adepts, making the Phoenix, and jumping on his army, because he's probably going to run away from the battery anyway, so it's going to be a very good way to fight it there. Taking gas and natural after 3rd gate, delay the 3rd base for about 30 seconds. Well, if you're going Phoenix Colossus, you might delay the 3rd for a very long time. So in this particular scenario against a 3 barracks, there's no way you could afford all these Adepts. If you're taking these gases and building a Robo Bay and trying to get into Colossus, you actually wouldn't be able to secure a 3rd base. So in this particular scenario, because our opponent did a very powerful 3 racks attack, you would be much more 2-base centric. Do we not use hallucinations constantly? Of course not, Osterfud. We have Phoenix, so if we have the APM, we could be a lot more active with our Phoenix scouting. We also should eventually be putting some pylons around the edges of the map in this matchup. PVT, very important, something which we didn't add here, but we'll start adding throughout the league. Why would we be doing that? We only have 1 sentry. The whole point is we're doing a very mineral-heavy build. Can't use hallucinations unless you have sentries. Now, if you're playing a sentry-heavy style, right? What did we do in Gold League? Lots of Sentry, Stalker, Colossus. There was a lot more of, oh, I lost my Observer. You know what? Let's send some hallucinations out. In general, we are a lot more blind because our Phoenix obviously can die. But we can always sit our Phoenix outside the base, leave a Phoenix there, or put a probe out front to see a move out if we want with this style, and it'll work out just fine. Fucking Maxan. If I hit on time and did my pro gamer timing in Platinum, you would be dead. Yeah. Here's a hot tip, guys. Don't commentate while you're playing ladder games as well. Don't commentate while you're playing ladder games. It's a really hot tip. I know it's hard for some of you to get the hang of, but you'll get there. You'll get there with time. The 4th base we can completely ignore as well if we wanted to simplify things. We could absolutely simplify that for sure. We also definitely could go more than 8 gateways, right? If we wanted to simplify this build. We're trying to go more in the direction of let's do it pro numbers or more, super efficient numbers, and hopefully over time as we get better we can lower these banks. But it's going to be very typical to be floating a lot of resources and so on. So it's definitely something where even after the 3rd, if we were planning to stay mass sell it all game, for instance, we would want to go 12 gates really quickly. And that's something where we could argue right now already that maybe we should go up to 10 gateways on 3 base. You know what, guys? I think I'm going to do that. I think this is a really good way for us to... So I'm going to change the +7 gates, charge and +1. We're actually going to go to 10 gates, not 8 gates. I think this makes more sense. And I don't think adding more gates is important. If we've already got 10 gateways, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. But I think that's a good idea, because if you've got 3 mineral lines, shit, you could potentially go 12 gateways. 10 gateways is a nice in between because it's still going to make a lot of zealots, and we do want to be making that disruptor transition. So building a few less gateways is going to be nice to just make sure we can get that one ready. Awesome. All right, guys. First game is clean. Yeah, Phoenix and Colossus, very high-tech army. A very high-tech army. Now, you end up sitting in your corner of the map for a very long time. It's not a bad army, Phoenixes and Colossus, but the best way to do it is you still go charge off the back of that on 3 base, charge, And when you add Zealots and Archons, you still go and do a big attack. It's the best way to do that, usually. Hey, what's up, Dana? I'm following your B2GM. If I'm following your B2GM guides, at what point should I start focusing on learning how to stop builds like Cannon Rush and not just improving my basics? The moment you run into them, Dana. The moment you run into them. Super, super easy. You pull workers and fight it. Now, obviously, the thing is, doing a Bronze 2 GM, I can't teach you how to defend every single rush. But we say right from the start, look, you scout, you see no buildings in their base that you're being proxied. Same as if you do see an early forge, you've got to respond to it. So it's really simple to actually respond to Cannon Rush in terms of you pull workers and you fight them and you try to stop it getting up, okay? Now that sounds simple. Obviously there's 1,000 details in how you do that micro, but we've got a great series of videos. If you actually check out the general Discord channel, in my Discord, I was just linking up my printf series of pig dailies just this morning because someone was saying, man, I just got Cannon Rushed a bunch of times. In Silver League, I was winning so much before that. Like, it's so frustrating. These guys are all proxying me and Cannon Rushing me and cheesing me. And people were saying, oh, you know, and someone linked like a video of me casting Showtime having a really perfect Cannon Rush defense. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but here's a better video. And I linked up the printf. I said, look, if you really want to understand Cannon Rush, you can watch those videos because I think they're really interesting to go inside the mindset of a master Cannon Rusher. Grandmaster, a high Grandmaster Cannon Rusher, printf, where, remember, he got so good at Cannon Rushing, he would go to North American tournaments and everyone would be like, they would know they're playing him, and there'd be like 10 Zergs all putting their head together going, how do we beat him? How do we beat him? How do we beat him? And so that's really cool. So definitely check that out if you want to defend Cannon Rush and all that stuff. And don't forget that I do talk, and I've written in the notes as well, ! B2GM doc, how to defend if your opponent's proxying you, if they're doing an early pull. I've got write-ups of all of those already. So go look through there if you haven't already and check it out. But for now, we've got to talk about what we're doing, guys. We've got a PVZ, the ever rare PVZ. We see hatchery, gas pool, real standard build, so we can just send my probe home. And we restart probes at 21 second gas. We queue up another probe here, and then we go, I think I'll build it up here. Let's try and hide the Stargate a bit, but also have lots of production space. There we go, very nice. So guys, what is our PVZ build order? I realize actually I haven't got my document open on my second monitor, so let's do that just to make sure we stick to the build, eh? We don't go too far off. B2GM, Protoss, let's get that one going. Alright guys, so we're going to chrono in Adept, but notice once again, we don't start Warp Gate research. We don't do that. Why? Because we need the Stargate. Now, this time around, it's going to be Oracle. So, let me just get all this open down here. Alright, let's get Warp Gate.
Glory to
And
the Daylong.
we're going to scout with an Adept. And guys, because it's PVZ, we're actually going to send a second Adept across the map as well. So we're going to try and do some damage. We're going to see if we can kill our opponent. Let's check the watchtower first of all. And I'm not really going to micro much with the Adepts until we get the second one there. So we see the base. If you want, you can throw a shade in, but it's not really important. We just go, oh, cool. This guy can, or girl can group up there. And then we want to make an Oracle. Okay. Keep building probes, important. Build an extra pylon, very important. Let's build 2 just to make sure we don't get supply blocked. Let's build another gateway as well.
Where shall we march?
And now we're going to do 1 pressure with our Adepts, okay? So what you do is you shade from very far out. And look, he's on top of us, so we cancel it if the Zerglings are on top. But we were already walking in the base at the same time. And then you want to try and shift-click some drones. And then we want to click that up there. We're building another Adept behind this. And then you want to just shift-click drones. And now that we've already microed that for too long, so let's go home, build probes, build another Oracle. And the plan is always to go 2 Oracles, okay? Keep building probes. Notice this guy, you want to click there. So we're rallying that wall off. And what do we do behind this, guys? Well, we're going to try and do a more normal style behind it, okay? So we do need to go Twilight, Robo, and whoops, that's meant to be a forge. So we get all our tech at once. Okay. We've got just 2 gateways. We're going to take a 3rd base with a pylon at it. Trick. Always build a pylon. What you want to do is you want to create a single space gap. So you go down, and then you create a gap. And that way you can put an adept in there, and it's really effective, okay? Now, if you don't send your oracles in straight away, that's fine. We don't really have the APM for that. That's going to be really hard to do, right, guys? This is going to be very hard to do because we've got so much stuff going on, right? Okay, this is like, wow, man, I got to put guys on gas now. Like, we got all this stuff going on. We're going to rally out there to our third. Okay, what are we doing? So what we're going to do is we're going to use a simple system. We're going to have the oracles on 2 different hotkeys. And what we're going to do is we're going to say stasis trap, shift right click. Okay? I'm going to do it on the other one as well. Stasis trap. Now, we're going to watch it. You're not meant to watch this when you're doing it. Once you figure this technique out. But basically, hands off the keyboard and mouse. What have we queued up? We've just queued up some really annoying harassment. And we're going to come back and do that once every 30, 45 seconds, something like that, okay? Now behind this, we're making Immortals, charge, +1. We're going to warp in a Stalker. I don't have any gateways, so these are slow warp-ins. Let's make our gateway explosion now. We're going to make 6 gateways. That'll bring us up to 8 gateways total. Let's rally over to our third. And we can also chrono probes a little bit. And this Stalker is going to kill this guy. And then it's going to go down into our wall-off. This adept is going to go up here. And we're going to start making some units here. We've already got 1 immortal. We're going to make another one. And we're making lots of pylons, aren't we? So we're on 4 gases. And the aim here, guys, is we only want to get about 8 probes on the third. So you notice I've overbuilt probes a little. The reason is, in just 2 minutes, our main is going to half mine out. We're going to transfer probes from there then anyway. So it doesn't make sense to do it now. We also want to go to Templar Archives because that allows us to build Archons. We want to start a Warp Prism. Oh, we haven't done a thing in a while, right, guys? So cue it up. So what am I doing, guys? Notice we've got 2 different hotkeys. Imagine these as being hotkeys 2 and 3, because that's essentially what they are. So we double tap 2, stasis trap somewhere on the edge, not in the middle, because then a Spore Crawler would kill us, somewhere on the edge. And then you right click back, okay? Double tap 2, double tap 2, double tap 3, double tap 2, double tap 3, double tap 2, double tap 3, okay? So now what are we doing, guys? Immortals, Zealots. We're making a really simple army here. And look at that. There's an Overlord watching us this whole time, so it would have been really nice if we got rid of that, wouldn't it? I'm actually going to build a few more gateways, guys, and the reason is, if you're making Zealot Archon only, which is what I'm about to do, you can go up to as high as 12 gateways, because all you're building is gas units, the Archons, which cost almost no minerals, and pure Zealot, which is very mineral-only units. They don't cost much else. So once again, guys, double tap 2, stasis trap, shift right click, double tap 3, stasis trap, shift right click. And this is triggering. The first time someone realized you could do this sort of harassment constantly, it was, I believe, stats for Sue on Abyssal Reef. And Sue, one of the most famous players of all time, and a player who's even a Katowice world champion after being a perennial 2nd place in whoops, get that prism. So that prism is actually replacing one of those Oracle hotkeys. So we're going to move forward now for a big Zealot Archon model. So what happened is Sue he just wasn't used to it, and he got hit by about 14 different massive stasis traps without reacting. And you could just see his soul dying. And this is like a top player in the world. So the great thing about this is it's so easy to queue up the stasis trap, and it takes no micro. Arguably, we're better off actually using the oracles to laser things, but because it takes more micro, we're starting off learning the build order, and we're doing this in the easiest way, which is, of course, what are we doing now, guys? Big old A move. Zealots, Archons, Immortals, the Sentry's just there for Guardian Shield. Remember, all we do is micro the Sentry, and then maybe we go, okay, you got plenty of Zealots there. Oh, look at that, guys, that's a big army. So let's try and pull more of these Zealots down to fight these roaches. This is a very big army my opponent built. Holy crap, really big. Guardian Shield again. Keep moving that Sentry forward. Really impressive, very impressed. My opponent played a really good game there to get that much roach out. You could tell they didn't have roach speed yet, and that sort of stuff. So let's tab out really quickly as we rewind this game. And like I said, those stasis traps worked on one of the best Zergs in the world, and you could just queue them up. It's a set and forget harass. It's so amazing. The only thing is if they move a spore out on the edge, you might need to like come in from a different angle, or if they leave the queens on the edge. Now, I remember when that harassment first came out, for those who don't know, people were complaining that it was super broken, really, really powerful, and same with the Raven. And I pointed out to the Zergs, there's a really simple technique. So what you do, guys, and this is if you're high level, of course, but a really simple technique, if people are doing that sort of stasis trap or Raven harass, each time you inject at a base, what you do is you inject, and then you shift-click the queen over here on the edge they keep coming from, and you're going to get a whole bunch of hits on that and damage on it before it gets the spell off, right? So each time you go to your base to inject, you go inject, shift-click the queen back here. So the queen, you probably jump to your main, box the queen, tell her to inject, and move back over there. Box the queen down here, tell her to inject, tell her to move back there. And also, of course, really obvious, just put a spore crawler out on the edge that they keep coming in from is a really nice way of doing it. You could leave one of your creep queens out there on the edge as well. These sort of things can all have a really big effect. Makes a huge diff. But at the heart of it all, guys, what are we doing? It's a real standard expand build. We're doing a probe scout at the start. We saw nothing untoward, no signs of aggression. And then we're going to chrono an adept, make a Stargate. We're going to chrono another adept, and then warp gate. Now, obviously, if we go warp gate straight away, it might slow down the second adept by just a second or two, like it did here. Not the end of the world. Well, we can see if you mess up with your opening with your gas timings, then that could really screw things up. You might have to delay warp gate quite a bit. So we're going to chrono do two adepts across. So if you guys want to keep this simple, just rally the gateway to the first adept, and just own the important thing really is to shade this other adept across the map so it gets over there quickly. And the reason is you want to get in before Ling Speed's finished, right? Ling Speed's going to finish in 40 seconds. So we want to be shading in and doing damage before Ling Speed's there, because then the Zergans can kill us. And all we're going to do, guys, is we always want to threaten two bases at once. So let's talk about the way this works. So I shade this adept across the map, right? I join up, and then the trick is we want to run into the base to start just killing drones while shading into the main. So that's the trick with adepts is say, look, if they're defending right here really well, that's fine, we'll commit to the shade. Or if they're covering the shade really well, we'll just cancel the shade. So this gives you two angles you're threatening at once, and that's the power of the adept. Obviously, I was lucky he already had two drones out there, but remember, we're walking in here. We threw the shade a little bit early because we were already catching drones in the open. And I said, look, I saw his queens and zerglings, so you watch the shade here, unless they're already jumping on you. If he was jumping on me with zerglings and queens, these adepts would have just clicked backwards, ran away, and then let the shade finish and been in the main. The idea here is we're always going to be able to threaten two mineral lines at once wherever possible. So I went, oh, cancel the shade, and he's like, oh, crap. And look, I just get to walk in here and do massive damage. And at this point, I ran away. Once again, what am I doing, guys? He's on top of me. The adepts run away, and we commit to the shade. So it's always that's the formula, that's the system, that's the pattern. And at this point, all I did was shift-click the drones, and I went home and macroed. And they actually got one more drone and forced a lot of mining time. Awesome. Killed like 5 or 6 drones there. That's huge. That's massive. So behind this, you're building oracles. You do want to queue a third adept pretty soon, and you want to rally it to the cyber core so it automatically is kind of in the wall off. And you also want to build this gateway here no later than 3 minutes 30 because that's when Ling Speed kicks in. Okay? One of the big weaknesses here that we should probably mention is if you don't shade that first adept across, and if your probe didn't hang around to scout, you could die to Zergling all-ins. So one way that I could be more solid with scouting, and this is what I'll do at pro games, I'm not doing it right now because we're learning a new build, so we're just trying to simplify things. We're not worrying about all the different all-ins. I could hang around with this probe and basically just double check that he's not saving up lava here. If you hang around till the spawning pool finishes, you can basically sit here with your probe, and then when the pool finishes, you go, there's 3 lava sitting there. That's kind of scary because he might be saving Zerglings. That's a very high-level scouting tell. We don't want to do this sort of scouting too much because our opponents are going to be kind of just making random mistakes. Sometimes they just forget to spend their lava in Platinum League, and so we don't want to be reading into things like that too much. What's going to be better is if we just chrono our adept on time, send it across the map, we're probably going to spot Lings flooding out of the base, and we're going to be able to recall the adept, wall off, build shield batteries, full wall, and we should be able to survive by just walling off our base. But the important thing there is, if you are dying to Zerglings, just keep chronoing these adepts across the map. Thank you so much, Scott, for the $1 tip. Thank you very much for the love, mate. So let's fast forward to the Oracle stage. Hey, Pig, I never watched stream. I love YouTube. One question for you. When there's a break in your teaching Protoss, why don't you run drones away when Terran runs by with Hellions? because they'll stack up when you run them away. So when they're on a mineral line, yeah, they're kind of dense, and the Hellions can get a good angle, but sometimes they'll only hit 1 or 2 probes with a volley. But if you grab all these probes, click them over here, they're going to all line up. The Hellions can run in and kill like 10, 12, 13, 14 probes all in one go. So the one time you'll do it is if you realize, say you've got probes here, you see Hellions running in, you realize you have no way to defend it, and you spot them really far out. You go, oh, I've got enough time. Grab the probes, run them to the main, and that's going to buy me another 10 seconds to recall my units or have some more Zerglings pop out. But in general, if you go, oh, Hellions are here, and you click them, the Terran player goes, oh, thank you. It's very nice that you'd line your workers up for me. That's really nice of you. And they will move right up on those workers, and then they will do the volley of all volleys to kill them all. Okay, guys, so hot tip, rally a Stargate across the map. I didn't do that. So what do? We should have rallied it up here, because we want one Oracle to hit that side, and then the other Stargate Oracle, we want to rally down here, because we were already thinking about these Oracles coming in from different angles. Now, we are going to talk about Oracle Micro for using the laser, which has way more potential damage. Way more potential damage, right? Down the track. For now, we want to get the build down first, so we're doing a bit of an easier version of it. So, the way it works, guys, is after your second Oracle started building, you then go, you're just probing the whole time, you go Twilight, Robo, Forge. We get double gas on the natural, could be a way of doing it. Or we can just go straight for the Nexus. Now I'm going straight for the Nexus here, and I don't have any units to defend it. So I should have been warping in 2 Adepts to secure that third base. Okay, let's go look at our notes. 2 Adepts, 2 Oracles, Stasis Trap, Focus. When learning. Otherwise, try to optimal. I guess I'll say optimal equals laser focus on first 2 waves, then stasis trap focus. You have more macro to do, and they are more prepared. So less APM and less chance of killing drones equals stasis trap better is better. Okay, so guys, so we're gonna go 2 adept, so just standard opening. I'm sick of writing out the standard opening, so that's fine. Standard opening, similar to PVT, right? It's the same sort of thing. That's same thing. All right, we could just take this, right? Delay warp gate till after stone, yeah. 2 times oracles. After that, what are we gonna do, guys? Twilight, Forge, Robo, right? All 3 of those, Twilight plus Forge plus Robo. Warp in 2 more Adepts. 3rd Adept to guard wall, 2 Oracles, Twilight Forge Robo, warp in 2 more Adepts, secure 3rd base. Oh shit, sorry, this stuff should be there. Secure 3rd base plus Pylon, right? So 3rd Nexus plus Pylon. So we move the Adepts out with the probe just to secure that. That should be nice. Hold position, Adepts. Third and 4th gas. And then we can go, what, like 6 to 8. So we can go 8 more gateways when we get the chance. Plus Immortal Production. Templar Archives. And there we go. Get a few Immortals, a few Archons, lots of Zealots, go for a big push. But we've got more harassment and an extra base mining. At least partially on the minerals behind it. And we can fully saturate the 3rd, or we can just half saturate it. Both are totally valid, right? So let's look at this, guys. How well did we do it? We went Twilight, Forge, Robo. Then we went for the 3rd and the 4th Gas Geyser. If there's an Overlord around, of course we can warp in a Stalker to kill that. If you can spot it above your natural. Notice I didn't warp in those 2 Adepts, and I just made this like random sentry and stuff. So that's why I'm saying, this feels awkward. Imagine if I just make 2 Adepts, move out, put them in this on hold position. That's going to be a good beginnings to any defense. we just keep stasis trap spamming whenever we can. Next up, forge. So we want to go +1 attack, charge, immortal production, and then build 8 gateways. So you can see I'm floating a lot of money. Guess I was explaining how the stasis trap micro works. There we go. 6 gateways are going to go down. So we were just going to go to 8 gates initially, start the immortals, start the upgrades. That all could have been much faster. Exclamation mark Discord, Dana. Should I play StarCraft? Of course you should play StarCraft. Best game ever, man. So sick. And in this case, we stopped at 12 workers on the 3rd. 54 workers. So we did a 54 pro, +1 charge, 2 immortal, I think it was 3 or 4 Archon, Master Zealot timing. And we had 1 sentry for Guardian Shield. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something, because I was really hoping we'd run into a Zerg who gets a big mass of roaches and plays really well. And my opponent did pretty good, but because they forgot roach speed, I was distracting them with the stasis traps. Their roaches weren't very maneuverable. So let's go forward to my attack timing, and I want to show you guys what could be a really bad situation for me. So the problem with this army is, notice the Immortals naturally lag behind with the Sentry, and the Archons do a little bit, and the Zealots kind of charge ahead. So ideally, your opponent gets this big ball of roaches together with roach speed, and they just kind of shoot, pull back, shoot, and they do a defensive stutter step, right? Shoot, move back, shoot, move back. And what happens is your Immortals never get any hits in, or they end up just attacking a hatchery or something, and all your Zealots basically run off and fight on your own. And your Archons and Immortals are like, So if your opponent micros really well, gets a big ball of roaches, that could be good. What's another scary thing? Banelings. If our opponent had a big pack of Banelings, we can't let our Zealots all run into that. So in that scenario, let's stay with the Roach Hydra scenario. So big ball of roaches, kind of like what my opponent did here. If you know you're going into that and you go, this player's really good, I can't get him to fight me, one great thing you can do is you can pick up your Warp Prism and go warp in Zealots in the main. Or you can distract with your main army here, and I can get my next warp in of Zealots to go around the left and run into that base and the natural. The idea is if you force them to fight in multiple bases, Zealots are really good at wrecking roaches if the roaches aren't microed. So if you're in a mineral line killing drones on top of roaches as they're popping out, your Zealots will perform really well. And they can't get them all in one blob and just micro back shoot. So what you can do is by creating chaos, creating fighting in multiple areas, you make it really hard for your opponent to actually fight against you. So that's one technique that's really good. The other one is just control click your Zealots behind your units and then wait for the roaches to engage your Archons and Immortals, and that's when you move those Zealots onto the roaches and make them fight as one. And if you get 3 or 4 sentries, which is a different version of this timing, you can do that move where when the roaches come to fight, you even trap them with force fields so they can't even escape from your Zealots. Now this kind of worked out for me anyway, because notice my Zealots all went up to kill the drones and he moved in on the Archon and Immortal. And that's when the Zealots swing in, and notice I was boxing the Zealots and clicking them down here so that I could get them to fight. Not A moving, I was moving them up, because if I A moved them, they would have just kept attacking the hatchery. And so I got to fight with my Immortals, Archons, Guardian Shield, Zealots all together. Absolute dream for me as a Protoss player, right? What if there's Banelings? Same thing, guys. Control click the Zealots, click them back, and hopefully they blow their Banelings up on the Immortals and the Archons. If they don't, you want to just send the Zealots in a few at a time. Just A move 4 or 5 Zealots, hopefully they let the Banelings blow up on them. Or if they're really good at keeping the Banelings alive and like not blowing them up, you might have to, same thing, split the Zealots up, go around, attack multiple bases. They're not going to be able to micro their Banelings really well if you've got a few Zealots in each of their bases. So that can be a really good way where you can kind of actually swarm the Zerg player, because when you're playing Mass Zealot, you're playing a very low tier fighting unit, but it does have some counters because it's a melee unit, it's a light unit, it tends to clump up a lot. So these are the things to look out for against Zerg when you're doing Charged Auto Mortal Archon. Start off just being really pig-headed, just hit a really go punch your opponent in the face, throw an attack at them, throw the kitchen sink at them. Best way to do it, but just keep your eyes out for those things. As you get better, you'll run into more opponents countering you, and you'll go, oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's go look at that fight. Oh, okay. I did headbutt 30 Zealots into 8 Banelings. That was a pretty good trade for the Zerg. So guys, we got ourselves a PvP. Now what's really exciting about PvP is this is yet again a different wall-off. Notice how Protoss vs Zerg has used the same wall-off. But even just getting used to these different wall-offs, and we're actually also, not just that, we're going to do a very different build order. And this is going to be way safer for PvP, because aggression in PvP is kind of king. And this way, we're going to go for a high ground gateway wall-off. If our opponent shades Adepts in early, we're going to wall those Adepts out of our base until the shade finishes and then cancel the wall-off. So this is pretty darn advanced. Now, I personally like to build a gateway back here, guys, myself, to help me defend cannon rushes. So yeah, we'll do that. So standard scout guys, do the loop around the base, hide behind the natural. We're going to take the gas there, keep building probes. So we'll wall off with a gateway and the cyber core. Okay, so it's still get our wall off up nice and quick. It's just going to be done in a little bit of a different order. Now, sorry, that probe there, your 18th probe, you always want to rally out, you check for cannons, and then you come back, okay? And you always drop a second chrono immediately into your nexus. Because we're staying on one base a bit longer, we're actually going to build our probe count up higher initially, okay? So you might be wondering, why do we rally to the second gas? It's because 2 workers per gas is more efficient than 3. So just something to keep in mind there. And guys, my opponent doesn't have gas and has a forge. Okay, so my opponent is cannon rushing me. So we're going to grab some probes right now. We're going to build a zealot. We don't have the supply for that, though. So, fuck is this? I don't know what's happening. I'm so confused right now, guys. So we're checking for a cannon rush, and we're also just trying to attack his probe. Notice I'm pulling some probes to get in front of his probe to cut off his escape. Oh, okay. So he's built cannons down there. So this is a really stupid build, guys. Notice I can just wall him out of my base. There's just no way. He can't build cannons up here. Look, I can just build a pylon there. Easiest win of my life. Cool. So we've seen the cannons now. We're going to go up here, by the way. We're going to build a pylon in his base just so I can warp in there later. And all we're doing is building stalkers. We're building another pylon here. And yeah, we'll build a pylon there as well, just to be nice and, you know, why not? Just keep building these. We can chrono warp gate. And in this case, guys, we're just going to kill our opponent. So you might be like, oh, what? Oh, we're going to do our build? There's just no reason to, guys. He's so far behind. We're just going to make a gateway in the corner of his base. If I want, I could kill all these cannons, but I'm not even going to bother. I just don't think it's worth it. So let's just check if he's doing anything over there. And basically just keep chronoing warp gate so we can warp units into his base. And look at that. I can depower that from that side, actually. So if I kill these pylons, it does actually do damage because it slows down his build. So what I'm doing is I'm going, you attack the pylon, move across the map. You attack the pylon, move across the map. And we've got a gateway out there. We've got warp gate finishing, so we don't want to queue up any more units, okay, guys? We're going to rally all the gateways across just so these units can pop. And we're going to start warping in units inside the base, okay? That stalker will take a while to clear that up. And it looks like we're going to kill a cannon there because we already moved across. And this should be a really easy victory for us. We can even build some shield batteries here as well. Nice little way of playing aggressively in this matchup. And so what are we doing, guys? We can take these guys, this guy. So what I'm doing, shift boxing if you're gathering up all your units and you don't want to use F2 because we've got our no F2 rule. And we can just focus on that. Yep. So, that no one will do this at high level because it's just too easy. If you don't keep that probe alive up there, then you're kind of screwed. What if he did keep that alive? Well, I mean, this is, I don't even know, guys. I mean, it's so far away that it doesn't matter. So this cannon rush has so little threat to it. So let's talk about how to defend the cannon rush. So first things first, we scout. If you see a forge, no gases, it's got to be a cannon rush. What else? Technically, he could have had some proxy gates out here. So what was my response? Let's walk you guys through it in real time. First things first, I should be going a zealot and a second pylon, right? If I was super pro, I would have canceled this probe, and that would have allowed me to start the zealot straight away. I was thinking of doing it, and I was like, it's a little advanced. I didn't pay attention to my scouting quite as quickly as I could have. Let's make it a bit harder for myself. Let's not cancel that probe. I was umming and ahhing. I was like, yeah. And I actually did try to press the cancel, but I did it just after the probe finished. And I was like, ah, damn. And then I was like, it's fine. Harder scenario for the defense. That's good, right? So we'll slow this down as well, so you can really talk about every step. So second pylon plus Zealot. If the Zealot starts, obviously we chrono it, right? And the idea is we're also scouting with this probe to see what's going on. And now there's a probe in my base. Okay. And I'm like, let's pull 5 probes. I could pull even more to get it. Still really weird for it to be coming in so late. It's already almost 2 minutes. Cannons should already be finishing about now. So I'm really kind of like, what is going on? And I go, okay, basic rule, just try to kill the probe. And that way silly stuff can't happen. So you notice he was running to the left, so I pulled in front to intercept. And we managed to kill him, which is fortunate because I also go, oh, what the hell? Oh, there's cannons there. Now remember, even if he got this pylon up, the probe survived, which he was pretty close to, this would be fine. Now you saw there was no threat, because at this point, if there's no probe in the base, I can just build a pylon there. He can't build cannons up. But even if he could, where can he build cannons? These cannons down here only covering to about there. I might even be able to attack this with a Zealot and kill that pylon. So he's going to have to build a cannon in a really conservative spot here just to protect him building a cannon there, which is going to deny 1 gate, 1 gas. By which point, I can make Stalkers. I can have a shield battery up, plus I can use overcharge on that shield battery. And then Stalkers beat cannons, especially when you've got batteries healing them, and especially when you're just killing them as they're building. He can build as many cannons as he wants. He might get rid of 1 gateway, but I can always build another gateway there. I'm just going to keep making Stalkers. Make a couple batteries, we'll be fine. So if someone cannon rushes too far away, you can just get your Stalkers out and you'll be completely fine. Yeah. Obviously, I could have just full walled initially, would have been okay. However, you don't want to get in the habit of doing the forge reaction unless you really just don't want to get better at microing and understanding cannon rushes. That is a valid choice. How do we know it's a valid choice? Because Rotterdam is an incredible player who regularly beats pro gamers once every 6 months or so in a qualifier, as well as in ladder games, and can't cannon rush for the life of him, has no understanding of how it works, and as a result, what's his response? Every time he sees a cannon rush, wall off with a forge, build defensive cannons, and wall himself on 1 base. Stops him from ever dying to a cannon rush, but it does put him behind sometimes against cannon rushes, because he's just like, he's doing the super hardcore response of, I don't even want to get involved in this situation. It's a valid decision. You could do that if you prefer. But yeah, basically I said, look, he's way behind, hasn't even started gas. I don't want to waste my time in this game. I'm so far ahead. You could just macro up from here and that would be okay. But I figure he's just going to do some sort of gimmicky proxy or something anyway to follow up. I would rather just say, look, dude, I'm already building Stalkers from this point. He hasn't even started a gateway. If I just build a gateway here, I could do it down here, over here. I'm going to be able to just warp in Stalkers and kill him. And obviously that's what we kind of went for. So, GG's. It wants to be up on YouTube. I have to sleep. There's no set schedule. Obviously, it has to get edited to cut out some of the in-between and stuff. But you know you can watch the Twitch video immediately. Right now, tomorrow, anytime. Guys, we're playing against a Protoss player. A random player. Oh my god. So what are we going to do, guys? We're going to go back to the low ground wall off, because that's what we have experience with. We're also going to scout across the map a little bit earlier than normal just to see what's up, because random players do tend to be cheeky bastards, okay? So let's send another probe down here to build the gateway, is how we'll do this. Notice I'm doubling these workers up on these mineral patches.
Thanks for the Bezos bucks.
Nice little habit we've built there. Hotkey the gateway, back up here, chrono boost the probes, and we can go for the gas in just a second. Oh, oops, sorry. I accidentally misclicked with that probe. And it looks like, what is that? Forge or gateway? So we want to click on it. Looks like just a very standard build, guys. Looks pretty chilled. Now, remember we've been learning that 2-gate response, that 2-gate build order. So we're going to do the exact same build order that we were just learning for PvP, guys. But we're going to be doing it here on the low ground. So it's just different building placement, but essentially the exact same build order, okay? Now, it looks like my opponent wants to go for an expand. So if you want to be a real dick, you can pylon block it. I'm not going to bother. And it looks like I actually missed a little bit of probe production there. That's okay. I'm also fixing up my worker saturation. I know that's advanced. Trust me, you guys can do it. It's not that hard. Is he building an excess? Yes, he is. Alright, guys, so we're just going to go back in the main, He's building a Nexus, so he's getting ahead of us. On the other hand, we don't need to worry about getting attacked. So we can just plop our Nexus down really, really early if we want in response to this. Do we have to though? Nuh-uh. We're gonna just stick to our build order, even though it does mean we will be a little behind. So we're gonna build 2 Stalkers. We're gonna delay the Warp Gate so that we can get that Stargate down, remember?
Probes are under attack.
And we're gonna put some pressure on with those guys. We will build a pylon here. And, oops, sorry. This guy should be going up here. Get the Stargate down. Stargate should be down about 2:30, guys. Maybe a little earlier than that. And, oh, okay, he's coming in with a probe. That's interesting. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attack him with my probe, just to track where he goes. And we're going to stop on 18 workers on minerals, 6 on gas to get the Nexus down. Let's start Warp Gate. And we're just going to A-move our Stalkers to do a bit of pressure. And the trick here is we just want to kind of scare him with those guys. We don't want to do too much, okay? And we're going to build 2 Adepts after those 2 Stalkers. And here, we're going to do some stutter step, guys, where we focus on the Stalker. And he's got another Stalker, so let's just run home. We're going to make an Oracle. And what are we doing from here? Back to probing. Now we've got the Nexus up. We've got 2 Adepts that'll do a pressure. All we do is we just probe on up, okay? So we get a probe there. We can build a shield battery just for safety. And what we want to do is we want to put these Adepts on a hotkey. So those are going to be on our hotkey number 2. And our Oracle, just going to build a single Oracle, is going to be hotkey number 3. Okay?
Oracle perceiving.
So what we're going to do is the Adepts are going to pressure the natural as the Oracle goes in the main. So we're going to wait. Those guys are all going to their staging zones. While we're waiting for them to get set up, what do we want to do? Obviously, we want to get a Robo. We can get a Forge as well. And a Twilight. Now, I know we've been doing a lot of all these at once. You won't see pros do this too much. We're just trying to make it a little bit easier for ourselves, okay? So let's try and throw the shade in, and then we're going to micro this Oracle, okay? And we're going to use our laser beam this time, guys. Turn on the laser, A-move, and now what do? We take the Adepts, and we're just going to shift-click these probes, okay? Now go back to the Oracle, and try to make sure it's actually killing some probes. But, uh-oh, lots of Stalkers on me, so we're just going to run away. But we killed a lot of stuff. Now keep probing. And behind this, we'll make a sentry, we'll make more Stalkers, because it's still early game, so we want Stalkers and sentries. But as the game goes on, we're not going to want those units. Why do we not want those units, you might be wondering? We're going to build a Warp Prism, just because we're a bit starved for gas right now. And we want to start charging +1 attack. So they're just better early on, but later they're going to be really shit units, right? They're not going to do anything for us. So we really want to make sure we don't keep building Stalkers. If we want, we can make 2 more here, 1 or 2 more. Even that's questionable, and the reason is, well, I want to be building Immortals and I don't have gas for it, so why am I spending 50 gas on a Stalker that I already know isn't going to scale well to the later stage? Instead, let's get Immortal, and we're going to get 2 more gateways here. If we were under any pressure, we might have built these gateways earlier, and you know what, guys, we don't have a lot of vision, do we? So let's put a stasis trap outside my opponent's base, shall we? Actually, put a stasis trap, and then we'll just use that for scouting. So we've got an Immortal there, we've got a 3rd and 4th gateway, and another pylon going down. And obviously we're going to need to go up to 8 gateways as well. Now that our natural's getting close, we're getting up to 4 gateways. It's go to 4 gateways, take a 3rd, then build 4 more gateways. And this is the way we do it. We'll build an Observer after that, just in case our opponent plays DTs. And look at this, guys. What do we see? Oh, okay, I went a little bit close there. You got a big radius with the Revelation, so I could have thrown it there. It would have still tagged the units, and then shift-click the Oracle back to run away. So you go 3rd base. We always build a pylon when we take a base for warping in and building batteries at, right? We can now set our rally points there and build some more probes. We can get the Observer. We don't want that on our army key. That's just going to follow the Immortal. So we've got main army with the Immortal here and the Prism on the 2nd key, so we can move these guys around as we want. And notice I'm not building any more units. Same as always, guys. Unless we see a big attack coming, we don't build any units. Protoss way. Power, power, power. We want to build 4 gateways all at once. Chrono, build probably about 10, maybe 8 probes for that 3rd base. We don't want to build too many because remember the main is going to mine out. We'll build 1 more Immortal. And we can start making zealots. Now, what's the one thing we're missing? Look at that gas count. Same as always, guys. Same as always. Okay. Now, the question is, do we make another upgrade? If you want, you can. I'm going to go armor because it's cheaper and it's quicker by 25 seconds than getting +2. So I think I can get that ready in time. But we could easily just do a +1 attack and that would be fine as well. All right, so look at my probe count, 52. That's about perfect. Notice I've already run out of one of my mineral patches in the main. So I can already grab 2 of those. And in about a minute, I'll be grabbing another 6 workers from the main to send down to the 3rd. All right, let's do it, guys. So what are we doing? We're warping in zealots. We're getting ready for an attack. Now, I don't have great vision, so we'll make a hallucination and we'll try to do this. What did I just do? Check the 3rd, pull back, check the other 3rd, and then it can kind of fly through and see everything else that's going on, okay? And now let's move to our staging zone. Let's move up here. Maybe we can lure him into the stasis trap before it runs out. What have we not built? Lots of pylons. Lots of pylons needed. We don't have a battery or a cannon here. We have no detection either. So let's build an extra observer, just so if DTs come in, we've got an observer at home. This is a really good safety precaution for this matchup. And speaking of stasis traps, well, I want to finish making my Archons before I jump on that anyway. So this should buy time. We're going to make some Archons, and now we're going to jump on top, try and trap those units there. So if he wants to save those, he's got to fight me. Uh-oh. Get the Archons up. So, okay, now we've got the Archons up. Let's go! And now we could just jump on top. Archon Zealot. Notice what did he build, guys? He kept building Stalkers. He kept building early game units. Whereas I'm building good fighting units. Same as always. Almost every PvP we've played in the last, throughout this series has been the same. Notice we click on the shield battery. Opponents keep building Stalkers all game. They take forever to transition to a proper army. They take forever to transition to a proper army. Now these Zealots, we're going to click those in the 3rd mineral lane. So notice we just boxed those, did that. These guys, we're going to keep moving on in here. And notice the opponent was trying to do double forge as well. So it looks like our opponent got a little bit too greedy maybe with the double upgrades. But more importantly, they never powered up their gateways. This is a really good example of, like, check it out. The opponent kept building units non-stop and never powered. They went blink, which is only useful if you're really, really good with sick, fancy micro. And at the end of the game, how many gateways have they got? They've just got to 4 gates. I've been on 8 gateways for a little while. I'm already up on 8 gateways, guys. And they're just getting to 4 gateways. Now, obviously, they're a little behind on probes as well. Their macro wasn't quite as good, but you can notice they just constantly built Immortals and Stalkers. So you've got to remember some Immortals and some Stalkers for the early game, maybe a Sentry or 2 for Vision and Force Fields, but then try to pause in production, get up charge, get Archons and Zealots, and you get a huge power spike with those units. So this is why we don't want to produce like a Terran player. We don't want to just constantly build units without thinking about it as Protoss. We want to think about, oh, are we being really aggressive? Maybe we make lots of Stalkers and Immortals and we go attack. Or they're being really aggressive, we need the Stalkers and the Immortals to survive. But if we're both just kind of sitting back, we've got a good bit of vision telling us that, get through that greedy gap, get to your Zealots, get to your charge and +1, and go for a big old attack. Now, keep in mind, guys, I wanted to stop at 52 probes. We overshot by a little bit, but look at what I'm talking about in terms of the main base. You can see these mineral patches. That one's going to run out about 8 minutes 30. 2 mineral patches will run out. This one here is going to survive a little bit longer, but essentially about 8 minutes 30 to 9 minutes is where standard build you grab 8 workers out of your main if we were still on 16, and you send those to the 3rd, and that fully saturates it. So the idea here is we only want to get 8 probes on our 3rd because we're going to be transferring workers over anyway, so we're still making use of that without overbuilding probes that aren't really going to have a function. So we're really not building extra probes. We're trying to still hit a clean timing attack while having a 3rd base. GG's. Now the Adepts and the Oracle obviously did big damage, right? So they did some pretty big damage. Let's look at the graph. But if we can pair up a pressure like that, that's going to be so huge. I think what would have been a nicer way to do that, guys, is click the Oracle in to come in just a little bit later and go shift click the Adepts on the probes first and then double tap the Oracle key, jump over there and hit the laser. I think that would have been really huge. You can see my opponent got a faster expand than me, guys, remember. Remember, they did a 1 gate expand, and they defended my pressure with the 2 Stalkers really well. I got a Stalker kill, but then I had to run away. This was really important, because I was down quite a few workers, but we did a big bit of damage there with the Adepts and the Oracles, and then I took the worker lead from then on. So that's why, even against 1 gate expands, this is going to be a pretty solid build order. The 2 gate, get a couple Stalkers, get the Oracles, get the 2 Adepts. Let's tab out while we go into the next game. So PvP here. We only want 2 Stalkers, 2 Adepts. Stalker, yeah. We're always going to go 2 Adepts there. Go across map to sync up with Oracle. And just doing 2 things at once, even if you only micro one of them, you'll get such a higher results most of the time. Do you play Clash of Clans? No, I don't like most mobile games. I find them really dull. Could you see a new RTS game using Clash troops and builders for economy? But yes, I've never played it. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I really care very little about theme. It makes it's lovely window dressing, right? Don't get me wrong. Board games, I do like them having nice window dressing. It's just, for me, it's nowhere near as important as the mechanics and the design of the game, right? In terms of the gameplay mechanics. And if that comes together and it has a good thing on top of it, or an interest, you know, the good window dressing, good units and theme, then, oh, that's really cool. You know, it's secondary to the game mechanics for me personally. All right, guys, check it out. We have got Protoss versus Zerg. We're going to go for that low ground wall off. Make sure we have extra probes queued up. Go there. Yeah, this should be a decent enough wall off. And all right, so what do we do, guys? We queue our probe over. Chrono boost probes. We'll get a gas geyser. Take that guy. Keep building probes up to 20. Let's get our camera location set up. Take a 3rd base there, a 4th base there, 5th base there. So you can see the probes aren't stacked up properly, and I'm trying to figure out why. Looks like we see a hatch first. It looks like a pretty standard build, guys. 2, 2, 2. This guy, I don't know, it is stacked up fine. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Never mind, guys. Alright, so I'm doing a bit of a fancy adjustment of the probes there because I pulled this guy down a little bit late. I was seeing things on my mineral line. I thought I saw 3 workers on 1 mineral patch, but I didn't. We're just checking to see if he's taking a quick 3rd base and then going home. It's not really important. Just because we saw no gas geyser, I'm wondering if my opponent's got a cheeky quick 3rd hatchery. Could be the case. Alright, guys, so 22 will build the 2nd pylon. And as it is, it still ends up being a very standard build order. Okay, cool. There we go. Alright, so what do we do, guys? We chrono and adept. We don't build warp gate because we're going Stargate, remember? We always want to delay that, try and get it up. This pylon's a few seconds late. Oof, sloppy pig. When this probe comes out, we want to rally to the natural. So we rally there. We're at 150 gas now, so now we can build the Stargate. And remember, we want to do a double oracle, double adept pressure, okay, guys? So make warp gate there. Oh my god. So let's quickly build the shield battery, and we're going to aim in some probes. And notice our adept here, we rallied it to the cyber core. Remember, that's what I was saying to do earlier, because that's kind of just what you want to do when you're in these situations where you want to use the adept to wall off. And notice we're just going to put that adept in the wall off. These guys can go there, and I don't know if my opponent's done anything. We're just going to build a Stargate, full wall that. Put guys back on gas here. And let's make our Oracle to continue. We're no longer doing our adept pressure because it's been distracted. We're a little bit kind of late. But that's okay. So in this case, the Oracle's not going to try and surprise. It's going straight through the middle of the map. Now, why is it doing that? Let's build another adept just for safety here. And I can go there. The reason why we would want to do that is because we want to see if there's another attack coming, so we can quickly build a void ray. Okay, guys? So that's kind of the whole plan there. Now we're still going to build 2 oracles because we want to just do the double oracle harass as always. We're just saying, hey, are there any roaches walking across this map right now, or zerglings or anything? No, just a big surprising early pressure there from my opponent, and that's the sort of one, if I watched for lava, we would have been able to defend. So we're going to fly in, and we're going to use the laser, and we want to not lose any movement. So this is super advanced micro, and I'm going to explain to you in the replay why. Essentially, the Oracle is very slow to accelerate. Ow! Ah, we did lose it. Well played. Okay. Alright, so what do we do next, guys? Well, behind the Oracle pressure, that guy's going to get in position. Same as always, we're going to go Twilight, Robo, and Forge. Get another pylon up there. Put another one there just to be safe. And then we want to go out to the third base, right? So remember, we wanted to go to get 2 adepts. So what we're going to do is we'll put this guy in the wall, and then these 3 adepts can go over there. And then we want to go, remember, what do? We always build a pylon, and then we put the adepts in that choke point between the nexus and the pylon. Okay? Now, let's go back to our Oracle, and he took this base, so there's very little chance of there being a spore there because he just took it, right? Now this time I'm not doing fancy micro, we're doing lazy micro. We shift click drones, we shift click away, and we turn the laser beam off, okay? And from now on, we've done the first 2 waves where lasers are most effective. He's going to have a spore in each base, he's going to be ready for him. So no more laser attacks. Now we go to only do the lazy attacks. Let's build an observer and rally it across so we can see any attacks coming my way. So we're only going to do the lazy stasis trap attacks from now on, okay guys? From here, we want to finish saturating our natural. Which is going to happen with these next 2 probes popping out. So notice they've popped, and now we rally to the third, okay? So what are we missing? I think you guys know. Number 1, Immortals for safety. Number 2, we're only on 2 gateways. We're only on 2 gateways. We need a lot more gateways. We're going to build 6 gateways to go to 8, but wait a second, I changed the build, didn't I? I said let's go 10 gateways. And I know that's a bit more than we really need if we're a pro gamer for this stage. But because we're going to be building lots of zealots, it's a good way to do it. So guys, let's do another one of these stasis trap pressures. Remember, we double tap our Oracle key, cue the stasis trap, cue back. But oh, luckily we were watching, because we would have got in trouble with that one, wouldn't we? So let's instead do one. Oh look, he's done his spores in really good position. So if we go there, then run here, then run here. So great adjustment from Hobbs. But we do get some damage done now. Keep probing, of course. Let's just tell that adept to stop being in hold position. Make 1 sentry for Guardian Shield. We're continuing to make Immortals. What have we forgotten? Templar Archives. Let's get a pylon behind each mineral line, because if mutas come out, you want to be able to build cannons basically anywhere. Chrono those probes. And what are we doing, guys? Well, we're just making 2nd Immortal, Warp Prism, Zealots. Seems pretty standard, right? And we can probably stop probing after just 1 or 2 more. We're just gonna go to about 12 probes on the 3rd mineral line, and we'll see what goes on. Now, if we look at it, where could we do a stasis trap? Well, not many options are there. So I guess we could do the same one. We go do. Lots of shift clicking there, guys. But automated pressure is the best sort of pressure. And we just saw Hydralisks popping out. Doesn't change anything, guys. Our army's good versus Hydralisks. Unless you see something very specific, we don't need to do anything. A lot of people are going to be wondering, well, with this army, you have nothing that shoots up. Like, how do you defend mutas? Well, if we saw mutas, we build a cannon and a battery at each base. I'm building just 1 cannon there for funsies. You're like, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily stop it. Yeah, don't worry. We're doing a timing attack. If you're doing a crisp timing attack, they won't be able to get mutas out before you effing kill them. Where's me Warp Prism? There it is. Warp Prism's here, so it's time to go. Let's take the Observer. We're going to click that on an Immortal. And what are we doing, guys? We're going to get set up for a big attack. We've got 2 Archons. I would like to morph 1 more before we commit in here. I don't know. I like having at least 3 Archons. So we'll warp in more Zealots, more Archons. Notice we're not moving too close. We don't want to show our hand. If he's got the Watchtower, he knows we're coming. And we're going to right-click the Prism, tell it to siege up. And now what are we doing, guys? We're going to go for a big old A move, but we may have to do some fancy micro, depending on the scenario. Okay, so we're just A moving at this base. And we don't see a range done yet. Notice I'm just moving my sentry forward so it's ready to Guardian Shield. I imagine his army will come from the top. Oh my god. Okay, let's run those probes away. So we're going to make some sentries at home. And more zealots and so on. cannons and all that sort of stuff. Okay, these guys are going to keep going in here. Pull that observer back from the spore. But yeah, we're going to try to bust up here. Okay, guys, so we're going to try and pull way back here. Let him come right on in. And I think what we're going to do is pull all the way back and to our main base, and we'll say, as long as I defend the main, we'll be alright. We're just going to keep making zealots, but don't be trickling zealots in. Zealots are really bad if you fight in awkward fights. So move these guys up. Notice we've evacuated. Oop. Let's make a sentry here. Oh no, we're supply blocked. Now we do still have recall, so assuming we're killing all of his workers, which we are, we can just recall these guys home, the main core of the army. Join that up with all these zealots. Let's just get the probes back to mining so we can retake our base. So what am I doing, guys? Oh my god! Trying to force field the ramp, but apparently we don't have enough. Oh my god, my units were all getting stuck behind each other. I'm gonna do the force field just because it looks cool. That was kind of, I didn't think he'd push up that ramp. But obviously we've still got zealots killing all of his economy. All I needed to do was defend that army. I meant to force field it, but apparently those sentries were just shy of energy. I've got enough now. And that was interesting, because he attacked me at the same time I attacked him. That's because I didn't have any map vision. Why? Because we're talking you guys through the build for like the second time ever. So we're not really focusing on little details yet, are we, guys? We're not focusing on little details. So what would I be doing if I was a bit more detailed? Well, I might grab this observer and move it here and try and siege it up. If you think there's a spore there, there's a spore on this base, there's a spore. We can get somewhere in the middle with an observer. That's going to give us a lot of information. So what would that observer have told us if we could see everything? Well, one of the main things you look for is the saturation. How many drones do they actually have on the bases? We see there's a gas missing here. It's not quite full on drones. That gas is also not mining. If we saw this base's workers, we'd also see that doesn't look like a full mineral line. This base is full. But what could we definitely see? The Overseer might have killed us, you never know. But we could have seen, oh, okay, Roach Hydra is massing up. And it would have just said, okay, he's committing to a lot of army here off 3 base. That would have been nice. You also can use your Oracle to come in and tag their army just to keep track of it a bit, rather than doing these stasis traps constantly. But what's really cool here is our opponent did some pretty good spore placement and forced us to be quite creative with how we use the Oracle. One way we could have done it is we could have come along this bottom edge and then started throwing stasis traps there as well, and then retreating to the dead space. That would have been one way of doing it. Awesome. So that was a pretty crisp attack, guys. Let's go back to the very start and talk about how we defended that. A lot of things you guys will die to. A lot of people go, man, how do I defend this? Oh, I just died to this, I died to that. Remember what I said earlier in that if you guys are running into endless Zergling attacks, a high-level thing you could do is leave this probe in the base till the pool finishes, and make a habit of that against Zerg, and just check the lava. And remember, what did I say? I said this in the previous PvZ. If there's 3 lava stacked up when the pool finishes, you got to say, why is he not building drones? It's because he wants to build 6 Zerglings there and 2 Zerglings on the natural the moment the pool finishes. And there's going to be 10 Zerglings arriving at your base very quickly, which is quite scary, right? And this is the smallest rush distance map in the pool. Maybe part of why my opponent did this 8 Zergling pressure. And they went to macro behind it, so it's just a light pressure, but this could be the precursor. There could be endless Zerglings coming behind this, right? So notice I'm just doing my normal build. My Adept's a few seconds late from the pylon. So if I died to this, the first thing I do is say, make sure my build's tight. That pylon delayed my Adept by about 3 or 4 seconds. That alone would have made holding this so much easier. Focus on little details that are completely in your control, where it's like, hey, if I'm just a bit more consistent with my build order, this sort of pressure is easier. The other thing, let's take a look at how quickly we responded here. We did respond pretty quickly. So you could say, oh, okay, this has caught me out a few times. I like to rally my Adept to the Cyber Core straight away. So if I didn't react quickly here, it could have got surrounded by the Zerglings. That could have been a real bummer. Now, it's still only 8 Zerglings. If you pull 16 probes, they're going to kick the shit out of 8 Zerglings if you micro them correctly. But notice, I just pulled a ton of probes and I A-moved them. There's 2 big mistakes I made here. I was trying to vocalize what I was doing, and I messed up on some things that I would normally do. When I pulled those probes, I would normally control group them on Army 2. Notice I have no army groups. All I have is my scouting probe from earlier. So I would have those as my secondary army key, and my Adept I would put on my main army key, just so that I can easily micro these units, as you'll often want to micro them individually. The probes are kind of a tanking and surrounding mass, and the Adept is a technical unit, which you want to make sure you never lose here. And of course, you would normally queue up another Adept there straight away as well. You want to get a shield battery immediately, get another gateway. We build another pylon just in case this gateway's pretty low, this pylon's pretty low. But then I just kind of go, okay, back to probing. Build an oracle, which can help clean up zerglings. It's not terrible versus roaches either. And we can just kind of chrono boost probes and kick some ass. Pig, stupid question from a noob. The best kind of question. Thank you, Isaac Revenge. Can you say in a nutshell, what's the uniqueness of each race? I don't have enough experience to understand which one is close to me. I feel like Zerg is reactive, Terran aggressive, Protoss is somewhere in between. Is it close to the truth, or have I misunderstood everything? Yeah, pretty much. I'd say you can play each race any way you want as well, even within that. But those are kind of, I guess, the more standard just ways of doing it. Yeah, and anyone can be adapted to your style. So I would go for partially off just thematic and what you think is the coolest. If you go to the who is... I've got a video on it. We'll tab out real quick. Let's tab out, shall we? I don't know. Do we have a race command or... Basically, it's like Welcome to StarCraft. There's videos in the Welcome to StarCraft playlist that there's one that goes over the 3 factions. Just says, you're struggling to pick your race. This is how you do it. Yeah. I would still mess up the micro or the counterattack, says Beliar. Well, I literally could have just moved my main army into his main and just focused on the defense. Would have been a great way to handle that. Or I could have recalled after I could have killed the 3rd, recalled to my 3rd, and that would have actually been okay as well, and just fought in there, right? It's a little dangerous recalling onto their army because you're in a bit of an awkward position. But let's go to that point in the end. It was like 8 or 9 minutes, right? Yeah. How do you get the Warp Prison to follow the Immortal? You'd have to give it a move command. So whatever your command hotkey is for move, for me it's C. I never use move command really. I click it if I need to use it, but I very rarely do that. And yeah. But notice guys, I've already killed his 3rd and all the drones on it. So what a lot of players would do here, if they're confident fighting army to army, which I pretty much am here, especially because I can do a big Zealot Warp in here as well. What I could do here is click the hatchery, clump my units, and then just recall them to my 3rd base would be one way of doing it. I decided to go, you know what, let's not risk recalling onto this army. I haven't really had enough time to gauge, is that army bigger or smaller than mine? And so I just went, okay, I'll warp in some sentries. And if these sentries had actually force fielded him out of the ramp, that would have been nice. If I wanted to, I could have actually kept warping in sentries here. And if I warped in 5 sentries, I could have had at least 2 rounds of force field and just gone sentry stalkers, bought time for cannons and batteries to get up, and basically just defended with force fields on this ramp forever and said, well, I'm 2 base and I'm annihilating you with my army. It's game over, you're dead, man. So that, always look for ways of simplifying it so you're not trying to hop here, hop there, hop here, hop there. You know, hopping back and forth, multitasking in high pressure situations, come up with a system to dumb it down. It's a really good thing to do. Dumb it down for your APM and your attention. All right, a chance for another Protoss versus Zerg here. So this is really good. And you know what, guys? Let's leave our probe in the base. Since we've had a few people try and get us with early Zerglings, and I've actually forgotten to veto this map, Beckett. I don't think this will be in the map pool much longer, but whatevs. We're playing with 2 rush maps in what we're playing with right now, and that's fair enough. So we'll build a pylon there, grab some minerals, and notice we want to rally to this one because that's one of the close patches, and he didn't have a buddy. After that, we'll just rally there because he doesn't have a buddy. Always good for your probes to have buddies. Now, while we're waiting, let's set up 3rd base, 4th base, and 5th base over here. And we can get our camera, our gateway. Oh, is that a wall off? Yes, it is. So notice I moved there and then tried to move there just to double check that that was actually walled off. So if you're ever unsure, you can always just try to move your probe and see, hey, is it able to pass through there? Because a probe is one of the smallest units in the game, just like a Zergling. If it can fit through, it will fit through. And there we go. That was me just checking my camera locations, guys. I know that makes you a bit dizzy sometimes, but good to check. And no hatchery yet. Are we going to get to face the 12 full? Yes, we are. You see, I already see 3 eggs all at once. We see a pool finish, no gas. And what we're going to do is we're going to hide that there. Now, what do we need to do? We need to send a different probe down here. Replace that one. Don't build any more probes, guys. And actually, we'll build a pylon. As pylon and a zealot, remember the first things you do whenever you're dealing with a 12 pool or a proxy, any sort of rush. Hotkey those. We're going to chrono boost the zealot as well. And look at that, our opponent's gone for an expansion. So we can just send this probe home now. So we want to build 2 zealots. Remember, what do we do, guys? We always rally the gateway to the building next to it, so that goes into the choke point, and I'm moving it and then pressing hold position. So I went right click, hold position, right click, hold position. Now behind this, I'm not probing. And you might be wondering, well, why aren't you probing up right here? The reason is because we want to build a nexus. So notice we aim move the zealot, but then don't let yourself get surrounded. We also now want to build an adept. We want to chrono boost a bit more. Notice we've got 2 zealots, so we can actually just fight this now. We still don't want to get surrounded. And once the adept comes out is really when we kick us. Notice we attack, pull back. A move, pull back. A move, pull back. Let's take a moment. We can build a nexus here. We can make warp gate. We can also make another adept. That'll allow us to do a really nice little pressure. And what else do we do, guys? Build another gateway out front. Another pylon, sorry. And we're just going to fix up our economy. So these units can just chill. We're not worried at all about what our opponent's doing, okay? So what do? We go, you guys on gas. Build 1 more guy on gas. And we still want to play the same style we were going to. So we're going to follow the rule of going back to doing the exact same style that we normally would. And we're going to play really conservative, guys. And we're actually going to go across the map with the adepts and do a pressure. But we're actually going to leave the zealots in the wall off, okay? Now, because we made Warp Gate, that does delay our Stargate, but because we were getting rushed, I'm okay with it. We'll start the Stargate now. We'll rally both next side to our natural. We can build another pylon there, just have plenty of production space. Why not? And now we can micro our adepts. Okay, so remember, we want to threaten 2 mineral lines. So we're shading on the minimap into the main, and then we're just saying, oh, you're on top of me. Oh, remember, what's the rule? If your opponent's on top of you, then you always commit to the shade. And now we know he's going to be coming up to defend, so we shade into the natural. We click that, and we just run away there. And oh, he's still on top of it, so we cancel it. Let's see if we can get out of here then. Since we've already wasted a lot of mining time, I don't think we're going to get any more done. So the shade will evacuate, and it also distracted him, so we can get a drone, and now we can go home. Let's build more probes. We're chrono boosting. Let's build an oracle, which we'll rally over. Looks like he's taken a third. Rally this up next to the main, and the next one can come in from that angle. Keep building probes. A little bit slow on that, to be honest. And let's go out to our 3rd base, shall we? So that's out of order, Pig. You're not allowed to go out of order, you cheeky little shit. But you are, because we've got lots of minerals, not that much gas, right? Remember our 2nd gas was delayed? So we're going to make a little adjustment to the build order here, just because I'm going, hey, I have a lot of minerals. Let's build mineral things. Very advanced analysis, I know. Chrono the Oracle. So remember, that one's rallied there. Now we right-click on the minimap there. We're also going to hotkey that Oracle. These adepts on hold position. Let's also take these 2 gases earlier than normal to try and catch up on the gas. And otherwise, resume the build. So we've done 2 things ahead of time. Remember, what's the next thing we do? Back in order. We need to get these. Twilight, Forge, Robo. This is how, and notice I'm adding them all to their proper hotkeys. This is how we make a ground transition, guys. Keep building those probes. And now we're going to see if we can get some laser damage. We're going to do the lazy Oracle micro. And then run. So I queued it up to kill 4 guys. Then the spore finished and we clicked away. And I could have already looked away, but that was good damage, wasn't it? Our other Oracle, also here. Queuing up some more probes using our hotkey. And he's going to kill those 3 and then run away. Happy with just little bits of damage here. We don't need anything crazy. If we're really excited, we could go back in for more, but let's not. Okay? So what are we doing, guys? Keep building probes. We've got plenty of supply free. We're going to go for our gateway explosion. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want, what, 5, 6, right? We want Forge. We can make a Observer as well. +1 charge. Keep building probes. As our natural gets saturated, we can rally to the 3rd, right? Now what's going to be cool is if I put that zealot there, I'm not using hold position. Holy crap! Did his queens just follow me out onto the map? You know, it'd be really sick, guys, if I stasis trap them on their way home so they can't get out. Sorry, you shouldn't do stuff like this, but I can't resist just doing a little bit of trolling right now. It's just too funny. My opponent clicked the queens on the Oracle, and then when the Oracle flew away, forgot about it. So my opponent's gone and accidentally chased me all the way out onto the map and hasn't given them another command. We're getting a Templar Archives and just lots of pylons now. Obviously, we've got to make sure we don't get supply blocked. That's what that's all about. And how many probes? Well, we've already got 54. So this is plenty of probes, guys. We don't need any more probes, okay? Oh my. Opponent's coming in with a lot of Zerglings right now, guys. So we're warping in more Zealots right now. Does our opponent have melee? It doesn't look like it. If we just keep warping in Zealots, fighting back to back like that, they should be okay. Notice that Zealot we are putting back on hold position there. We're now telling it to not hold position. And we're just continuing to make Zealots try to come out and fight here. Oh my god, it's a lot of Zerglings, guys. Wow. I could have brought my Oracles home to help defend there if we needed to. Let's build a shield battery at the base. I think as a general rule, we should start doing that every game, just as like a little safety precaution. Because we're planning to be aggressive ourselves, it's definitely not like top of the menu, right, in terms of priority, but it's a decent thing to do. So we're going to go at Mortal. We might as well queue the Warp Prism up straight away, right? And we've got enough gas for 3 Archons. That's going to help us deal with Zerglings really well. Now, if you guys really struggle with leaving a unit in the wall, you can just do this every game. At this point, you just get a cannon in each mineral line. If Zerglings get in, you A-move your probes, you fight with the cannon. If it looks like a lot of probes are going to die, you hold position the probes, and you'll be totally fine. It just is a nice way of making it easy. And more, if you're playing a big macro game, that's worth it. The reason why we wouldn't say this is 100% a thing you do every game, it's very obvious, guys. We haven't really been doing stasis traps, have we? Cue some stasis traps up. We'll let it die. Whatever. Got a stasis trap there. So the reason is we're going for a big timing attack. So the more money we waste on things like random cannons that we don't need, grab 8 probes from the main, send them out to the third. You see that's way oversaturated now. The more we do that, the more it weakens and slows down our timing attack. We also only went to 8 gateways before, guys. So let's go up to a full 12 gateways now to make up for how late we are on this. Let's walk in 8 more Zealots. Go. And we're going to attack this third base, okay? So we're going to tell the Prism to siege up, and our army is just going to go for a big old A move.
You seek guidance?
Let's go! More Zealots. Shift that to control group. And you can see our opponent doesn't really have any units there. Just going to get overwhelmed, and we'll take them out. Why not build the Robo at the third? I don't think our third was up when we built the Robo, the Forge of the Twilight. Maybe the pylon was. But if you build it out there, it's incredibly exposed. We're already on a rush map, and that's your most important structure. You've only got one. So it's nice to get units popping into the battle, but it's also bad if you end up losing control of your third, you lose your Robo. Whereas, say our opponent surprises us with a big push. If we have to give up the third, that's fine. We can just swap into a 2-base all-in. We've got 8 to 10 gateways, build the Immortal, Prism, get charge, get +1. But if we lose the Robo, we won't have the ability to get a Prism out to do the forward warp-in point. It's up to you, what you prefer. Definitely extra Robos later in the game when I'm going Disruptors. I'm more likely to be building them out the front of my base, just so they don't have to rally as far. Less chance of me losing control of my third at that stage. So the opponent here tried to go up to a big economy and mass triple upgrade Hydras, which, if they had Banelings to deal with the Zealots, would be a really good army to deal with my Immortal Archon down the track a few minutes from now. But for now, at this stage, easy enough. So this is the exact same response. We defended a 12 pool in Gold League, I believe, guys. So exact same response as there, which is you see a 12 pool, same thing if you see a proxy, what do? You immediately build a second pylon, a Zealot, second gateway Cybercore, and you chrono out 2 Zealots, and then an Adept. Second Adept as well if you need it, or Stalkers, depending on exactly what you're playing against. And notice I kept my probe alive as well. So I did see no gas, which meant, okay, it's not going to be like Ling Speed. This is not crazy all in. If my opponent had gas as well, I know they can't really expand very quickly. It's going to be much more committed, and it's going to be even more important for my probe to hang around and come back at about 3 minutes and go, hey, do you have an expansion? Because if you don't, I'm probably not going to even get a Nexus up. If my opponent's go on gas and we want to play super safe, this is very high level, so you probably don't need to do this unless you're playing a really crisp Zerg all in. You can just go second gas, get a Stargate up or something like that before going for the Nexus, and that way any quick Ravagerling all in or Bane Bust is going to be something you can handle. But these Adepts did massive damage, guys, and same thing as with the Oracle. Click a drone, keep moving. Click a drone, keep moving. So this is very common micro you're going to find. Adepts, Oracles, there's a similar skill set you're sharing. So it's really good that we're kind of working on both at once. So notice we wanted to get out, but we said, hey, why not also see if we can get a drone or two? Look at that, just an extra drone. Butchered our opponent's economy. Did have a third hatchery up nice and quickly, but this was absolutely devastating to my opponent's whole early game, right? So much trouble he was in after that. And if you don't do that against the 12 pool and they get away with just taking 3 hatcheries and droning up, they can get pretty far ahead. So if your opponent does 12 pool into a gasless expand like this guy did, sending those 2 adepts across to counterattack, very important. And if they're good with their queen positioning, if they build plenty of Zerglings, you can't really do damage, but at least you force them to build more Zerglings. 7 Zerglings is not enough to beat 2 adepts, not if you micro well. Perhaps you should mention the probe in the gate wall off. Great point. Great point. So check this one out. So notice the probe was there as well with that zealot. So first of all, if I mess up, I'm worried that maybe the lings get here just before. So my probe is in the wall off and is ready to wall off if I need to. And notice, guys, what am I doing here? I mentioned I grab the zealot, I control group it in a moment, but I click it in that direction and then hold position. What do a lot of noobs do? They say, I want the zealot to stand on this pixel. I'm going to keep trying to click on that pixel. And they're like trying to click. Don't do that. Just click in the direction you want it to move, and then just press hold position, and it'll just shuffle. It'll shuffle. And that way you can make really tiny adjustments. Because what do we want? If the zealot's sticking out a little bit, 3 Zerglings can attack it. If it's just inside, only 1, at most 2 Zerglings can attack it at once. See? Really nice positioning. And he was hoping that I'd left a bit of an opening. He was trying to force his way in. Now, I'm not really thinking when I go out with the zealot, oh, this is to build a pylon in case the zealot gets surrounded. You should never get the zealot surrounded. The reason I'm going out with it is just to get him to try to surround me for a moment, to get him to stop attacking this gateway, because I want that gateway to not get killed. So by coming forward and getting a hit and running away, or moving forward and threatening it and running away, and you'll notice sometimes I go out and I kind of preemptively pull back even before he goes for me. You see, he's trying to get this around. What has this done? Distracted him from killing the gateway means I don't need to wall off behind that. Are there specific upgrades you get for different scenarios and matchups? Is it always +1 attack? I've just been going always +1 attack, but for instance, if you're playing Protoss vs Terran, we could absolutely go +1 armor with our Zealot Phoenix, arguably the better upgrade versus Marines. Bio Terran, the armor is going to be more effective with Zealot Phoenix. So that's probably the one scenario where we might switch it up. Should the Zerg player have committed to busting your gateway rather than dancing about? So what my Zerg opponent should have done there, and Lambo is a great guide on it, is he should have control grouped the Zerglings differently and also should have built 10 Zerglings. You don't want to just go 8, you need a full 10. So the way you do it is basically the Zealot can annoy you and dance all day at the start, but you want to control group, you want to have 4 Zerglings that just never stop attacking the gate, and the other 6 are kind of hanging around. Or you can do like 5-5. So the other 5 are like here and maybe putting some damage on that gateway, and they're basically, you never pull the other ones. So you have 4 or 5 attacking the gateway and you never pull them off the gateway. And the other ones are just waiting. So if the Zealot comes out, their job is just to get behind the Zealot. And if they get behind the Zealot, then you can grab all the Zerglings because he can't get back into his choke point. You can kill the Zealot and then you can break the wall down. But if you do that well enough, you might just be able to threaten enough to kill the wall off if they're just a few seconds late on their Zealot production or anything like that. Does armor mitigate damage while a unit has the shields up? No, it does not. You can see there's separate armor for shields versus regular armor, but a Zealot is 2/3 hit points, only 1/3 shields. So the +1 armor is still very, very useful there. Australia had a game yesterday where you got +3 armor versus +1 attack. So, or +2 attack. The Marine, yeah, no, it was +1 attack. The Marines were doing 3 damage a shot. They were doing nothing. It was really sick, really sick. So, once we finally get the Nexus down, we then want to restart probes, build gases, get a 3rd pylon. It's something a lot of people forget. As soon as you get the Nexus down, guys, 3rd pylon as well. Otherwise, you're going to get supply blocked. Keep up probe production, get the 2nd gas, get the Stargate, and then continue with our normal plan from there, right? Once the main's saturated, we rally to the natural. We're going to do the double adept pressure. We're going to move forward from there. Is it worth watching pro replays if I'm silver and gold? I mean, you can always pick things up. You don't need to be like just being like, I gotta do exactly what he does. Like, don't do that. Because obviously, like, you know, you want fundamental knowledge. I don't think you really need to look at replays necessarily too much to learn, but in terms of like videos, replays, like it's good to watch pro play because it gives you an appreciation of like a feel for how people play matchups. It gives you a feel for all the different things. Guys, please remind me to veto this map after this one. I don't want to play too many games on the rush map. It's a bit too cramped, this map. I mean, it works for my style because we're being quite aggressive, but I don't want to play every game on the rush map. Alright, so we send that guy to scout, we chrono boost, hotkey the gateway, let's get our camera location set up, 3rd at the front, 4th over here, 5th up there. Okay, you go in there. That gas is a little bit late, it's alright. Thank you, Twan, gives a sub to the Nodi. Oh my god. Nodi's a big supporter of the channel. It's funny, didn't realize it wasn't a sub. It's too busy giving subs to everybody else. What a legend. Okay guys, so we haven't seen a pool or a hatch yet, which means our opponent is either just a little bit late on their build order. Whoops, it's slow to send our probe down. Or, yeah, they're just a few seconds slow on their gas in the pool. I was thinking they might have gone 3 hatch, but we do see it just a few seconds late, so no worries. Cybercore there. Back to gas, resuming probes. So what are we doing, guys? I'm just checking the expansions, and I think he's just attacking me, right? Yeah, this guy's just been cannon rushed before that, so I'm like, what's he doing? He's just been traumatized by some cannon rushes, so he's playing it super safe, I think. There, pylon, lots of production space on that. Get that second gas up. Second gas is a little late as well, so at least it'll be saturated straight away, but I think we might delay warp gate this game until after the second adept, just because I messed up my gas timers a little bit, guys. So, chrono the adept. We can now rally probes to the natural. And no worries. Let's get the Stargate. And we're going to chrono 2 adepts across, and remember, 2 adepts. So good on this map. This map is tiny. We'll chrono 1 adept across. It's just going to look for the 3rd base. We now start warp gate. Very late. Now, if you're paranoid about getting all in, as we've said, getting this second shade in can be really nice. And what's the point? What can we look at to see if we're being all in? And this might be a 3rd shade on a big enough. It's, do they have drones on their natural or not? And if they don't, then be a bit worried about getting all in. It's kind of the thing that you can do. But we see a 3rd base. We see all what appears to be very normal stuff. Let's get that second gateway as well as the Oracle. Those 2 things always pair up. We see, we already saw drones on the natural and a 3rd base, so these are pretty good normal signs. Now remember, what do? We try to get deep, 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 and then shade. And remember, if there's Zerglings, you can run away from them. And we commit to the shade. I don't need to box that, by the way. They'll automatically be selected. And we're just going to shift-click drones and sacrifice them. There was such value there. I knew there was no point looking away from that. So I just said, look, shift-click them on these drones, kill what they can kill. And now the Oracle, hotkey number 2. The next Oracle, we want to go to the other side. Hotkey number 3 when that comes out, okay? So I'm building some more pylons here. We've got another gateway as well. I forgot to build an adept, so I'm going to go sit a probe in the wall on hold position so we don't just die to Zerglings running in. That would make me feel really stupid. Let's get a Robo, a Forge, and a Twilight. And let's also get that 3rd base. We're just waiting for a bit of 100 gas here, guys.
The firstborn shall persevere. Dimensional
and this guy's just gonna wait there. All right, let's go in. So we'll try to do the shift click with the lasers, guys. And then run away. So about 4 drones. And make sure all these are hotkeyed. I think they are. Let's get the 3rd base and the panel. We want to make 2 adepts. Go down there to defend that. Remember, we always do that. 2 adepts to defend the 3rd. A few more pylons. Make sure we're not supply blocked. Now, I forgot to turn off the laser beam on that Oracle, guys. That's one thing. If you shift-click the Oracle away, you do need to still remember to select it to turn the laser beam off. Otherwise, you can be in trouble. You can kill lava if you want. But we're just going to kill that drone, that other drone, and then get out of there, okay? And then we can just Remember to turn the laser off, otherwise it keeps draining its energy. We can now rally down to the third. We can go Observer just to see if any attacks are coming. +1, charge. And then what are we doing, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gateways to start. But we do want to go all the way to 10, remember? So I'll add some more in a moment. Let's just build a shield battery out here. We're going to build it in the mineral line so it's harder for our opponent to snipe, okay? Keep building probes. Should we do another round? At this point, I think it's better to do stasis trap pressure than anything else. So we're just going to do it that way, okay? We don't want to keep looking at it because we've got macro to do. So let's build 2 more gateways.
The enemy has
Templar Archives. Actually, let's get Immortal. Corner that. Get another pylon in there. You want the Templar Archives. Then we, of course, do want a lot more. We do need a couple more probes. We do need a lot more pylons in the near future, because once we build a second Immortal and then some other units, you know, this will definitely be pretty beastly. Oops. So we've got Immortals on the way. Corner another one. Can start making some Zealots right now. They're pretty shit till Charge is done, but Charge is almost ready. So if you guys are dying to a lot of random surprise attacks, definitely trying to speed that charge up could be a nice way you make the game good for yourself. Now, what we're going to do is just take a little look-see around with the Oracle. So we're just going to check what is the most consistent thing you can scout that gives you lots of info. How many drones are on the third? We see a handful of drones there, going up to about 10 or 12 maybe, which means our opponent is probably similar economy to us, which is really good for me. We're just going to check if he has a base, and then we'll go siege up in the middle. And it looks like Zerglings, maybe Roachmorons there, but it feels like we're ahead economically in this game. Because I've got 12 workers on my third, and the Zerg really should be ahead at this point. Let's Chrono Boost to Warp Prism, and let's go for another wave of stasis traps. Let's see if our opponent adjusted after the last one. Let's hope he didn't. So let's actually look at it this time. No adjustment. This one's not in the most central position, but I'm just trying to do it far from the stasis traps so my oracles don't die! Like that. Let's get some more pylons here, guys. Obviously on those gateways is pretty huge. Extra one at the front would be great. Did we get an odd number of Archons? We got High Templar, we did, so let's get these 2 more. And let's get going, guys. About 8 minutes. We're doing a 3-base timing here. You'll notice the main is going to be mining out real soon, 25, 145, 60. So if you want, smack on 8 minutes. To simplify it, guys, just grab 8 workers at that time, send them all to your third. And it doesn't matter, those patches are going to mine out in a moment anyway. Okay? So what are we doing? Morphing in lots of zealots. I've been forgetting my sentry more and more, but I think that's fine. And we're going to do a really dickhead move, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to queue my Oracle to throw a stasis trap there. So we're going to attack the front, and then he's going to retreat into a stasis trap here, potentially. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we are just A-moving on in. Mass Zealot Archon. Opponent only has slow Zerglings, and didn't even get the dirty stasis trap flank off. Obviously, what we're seeing here is just how powerful Adept Oracle Harass is, and the opponents are usually going really far up the tech tree from there. They're trying to go all these upgrades, Bane speed, Roach speed. They're saying, give me another minute, let me get all my upgrades, let me make mass Banelings and Roaches and Ravagers. But we're just kind of, I don't think we're macroing much better than we were before, but what's happened now is just doing a 2 Adept pressure and then a little bit of Oracle stuff to throw our opponent's rhythm off is having this compounding effect where it is absolutely ridiculous. And notice we're doing it in a relatively low APM way. The Adept Micro, you're not going to do as smooth as I am. It's going to take a lot of practice if you want to get it. Yeah. Subbing off the Noties gift sub. Thanks to B2GM series. Got me interested in playing SC2 again after an 11-year break. Very nice. Very glad to hear that, Twan. Welcome back. 11 years is pretty big one. I wish I had Pig's Bravery. Me scouting a Bane Nest would have given me pause to expand or take a third. So it doesn't mean anything. Bane Nest, none of this stuff means anything, guys. Obviously, it could mean stuff. For sure. Like, to be fair, I didn't notice that was a Bane. I didn't notice. I was too busy commentating on micro, guys. Let's be real. I didn't realize that was this early at all. Yeah, that totally could have been a Bane boss. That would have been awesome if my opponent did that. So, what should we have done here, chat? This is not bravery. This is stupidity. We saw a Bane nest very early in the game. Could be a Bane nest. So, what we could have done there, to be safe, is our second Oracle. We should have rallied outside our base, and then we could have patrolled it from, like, here to here. And if we saw a Baneling bus come in, we could have warped in a sentry to force field, and we could have just used the Oracle laser to clean up a lot of the stuff as well. And that, plus maybe running probes from the natural if we needed to. We should have been fine. We could have built in a third Oracle or a Void Ray once we confirm it. So all we needed to do was that. Chat's pointing out you could also put a Stalker in the wall rather than an Adept. If you're like, oh, I'm worried about that. Warp Gate finishes here. I could pull these guys out, a Stalker in the wall. I think we figured out it would take like 9 or 10 Banelings, whereas the Adept is only going to take 4? Is it 4 Banelings? 5. I think it's technically 5 Banelings to kill an Adept because she has 1 armor. It's 35 damage per Baneling. So I think she'd have 2 hit points left. But yeah, pretty bad. Is it worth it to place pylons outside the base to expand vision? Against, later on, if you're worried about like Mutas surprising you or Nidus Worms, it's not bad, but usually you only do that against Terran and Protoss because Zerg naturally has a lot more vision with Overlords, and they have a bit more map control with Zerglings and Roaches, so it's not a standard thing to put pylons outside your base versus Zerg, because Zerg is kind of meant to have the map control a little bit more, because they can suddenly make a billion units and jump on you, and they can use little mobile Zergling squads to clean up pylons. But yeah, I think we're starting to do a lot more shift clicking with our oracles, right? We're doing that basic micro. We're not doing a lot of the acceleration micro because that's just too far. That's a little bit hard to keep going. So we're doing really basic oracle micro. Are your opponents not scouting and getting caught with their fans down? They're just not microing correctly, not setting up overlord vision around their base, like that sort of stuff. Like they're just not responding properly to basic pressure, probably because no one does it at their league and they just don't have experience against it, right? So, you know, you're meant to send your queens forward to force the shade out, and then your Zerglings follow the shade. And that's a really easy formula for defending the first Adept or two. And you should have at least 4 Zerglings for each Adept. And once Link Speed kicks in, you should just surround and go kill them, probably 5 or 6 Zerglings per Adept. Our opponents are just always low on Zerglings. Their queens aren't in position. They don't see the Adepts until they get into their base, because their overlords aren't spread around. Just lots of basic missing things. They're not scouting for Stargate, and they're not prepared with extra queens or spores either as well, because I'm just hitting them with tighter builds or build orders earlier than they're used to getting hit, and I'm also microing those things in a way they're not used to running into as well. Do you think playing D-Gen 2 to 3 Stargate style is better in PvZ? Do you think 8-gate stuff has a place in the meta? I think the Stargate style stuff is executed so badly that I don't, honestly, when I'm watching players who aren't super high level playing Stargate versus Zerg, I'm literally just watching the Protosses play so bad.
Thanks for the Bezos box.
And the Zergs are like, oh, he's making Stargate units, I can't win versus that. And the Zergs somehow play even worse. It's some of the worst StarCraft I've ever seen, is when something's really powerful in a matchup and the other race doesn't like playing against it. Because there's low-level players doing the overpowered thing terribly, but the opponents are mind-gaming themselves so hard by just getting upset over what they're playing that they're getting annihilated. And I'm just there like, what are we looking at right now, man? I'm like, this is... It's like, what? I'm like, what is happening? It's just, to me, it's kind of hilarious. I don't think it's better. No. Kargathus, thank you for the Twitch with the Prime Gaming. I do think if you're really, if you enjoy just building cannons and Stargate units, I mean, it's such an easy way to play that, of course, it's the most effective style. Ooh, we want to go high grow. This is a PvP, guys. So build that up there. Build that up there. I think ground styles are way more interesting, and it develops a wider skill set that you can apply to more matchups, more situations. And, I mean, for me, honestly, I always think the best style is whatever you have fun with, because whatever you have fun with is the style you'll be motivated to improve with. If you're playing a style you think is really lame, you're probably not going to improve very much, are you? So for me, Stargates, cannons is very, very boring. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there who play Skytoss very badly and would die to a lot of just decisive timing attacks, but so many people just kind of mind screw themselves, worrying about, oh, but what if it's this, or should I do this or that? And they're just kind of paralyzed and not making decisions, is the best way I would describe it. Okay, guys, let's get the second gateway up. Don't know why I was humming and ahhing about that positioning. Oh, opponent is proxy gating us, guys. So we're just gonna probably have to wall him out. Okay, so we're trying to kill this guy. We're trying to build zealots, and we're trying to find where these proxy gates are. But it's actually a Nexus first on the gold. So we're not being cheese, guys. Instead, our opponent is trying to go Nexus first on the gold. Super greedy build. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and kill it. So guys, we're going to do reactive cheese. Because our opponent is doing what I would consider a completely illegitimate build. So we're going to make 2 adepts to start. And then from there. We'll make a pylon up here. And we're going to just chrono warp gate as much as we can. Let's get a 3rd gateway already. And awesome. So the idea is, can he really defend both bases from adepts at once? I don't think so, guys. So we're going to just send the zealot in to harass. All we're going to build from there is stalkers and that sort of stuff. But zealot's already killing stuff, and now we're not even going to micro it. I'm going to put it on control 2. We're just going to click the shield battery. He comes and fights me. Click on the shield battery again, and we're going to try and shade up into the main.
Where shall we mark?
And we'll hit the pylon, because why not? And all we're going to do here, build a 4th gateway there. And looks like his Stalker's going to fight the Zealot. Zealot beats the Stalker, by the way. We're not going to micro that. We're going to assume it's dead. And now we're just going to do some adept micro. Now, if you get in this gap, they can't really surround you. Let's chrono boost. Okay.
We embrace the glory of battle.
Faith or fear. I have met the enemy.
So, our opponent just took not just an expand, it was a Nexus first, and it was on the gold base out in the middle of the map. What did we do, guys? First of all, what did we scout? We scouted what looks like a proxy. And this is so cool, this game, because this tells us the one scenario. I always say, if you see no buildings in their base, it can only be one thing. It has to be their proxy and gateways, right? And that's what I saw. That's what I thought. First, I was like, it's got to be that. Because we got in here and we were like, what is happening? Now, what's kind of funny is he does actually take a gas in a gate. I didn't even notice that. Because I was too busy at home already going Zealot, second pylon, Cybercore, scout for the proxy, see what's going on. And it took me a little bit to realize, right, that wait a second, this could be a gold base. And I went and checked with the probe and confirmed. And the moment that happened, what did we do, guys? We went into action mode, okay? So at this point, I had 2 probes looking for proxy gateways. I'm chasing this probe in case it's a cannon rush. I don't know what's going on. Normally, if they don't have any buildings in their base, keep in mind, I still have not noticed this gateway in the gas. I assume there's 2 gateways and a forge out here. And it's going to be a cannon rush zealot combo. And at this point, I see the Nexus, and I go, oh! And I shift gears. So what do? We do a set play. What is our set play? Check it out. Game on Blackburn, PvP versus Nexus first. So this is we spot what did we spot, guys? Gold Nexus first, and snap, bam, pull a set play out. The simplest set play, the oldest, the greatest. Any Wings of Liberty Grandmasters in chat? So, what is it? It's, of course, just a 4-gate. 4-gate. So what do we do, guys? Stop probing at full 1-base saturation. Rally Stalker. All chrono into warp gate. All chrono into warp gate. 2 more gates at home. Go build forward pylon. and 4th gate at front, because that allows you to get fast warp-ins. Stalker pressure into Stalker warp-in for the win. Now notice, guys, it's very basic build order, but what were some adjustments I made? Adjustments in this game, because no Nexus first and it being so exposed is just so out there, I decided to start with 2 Adepts and pick whichever base
Thanks for the Bezos
was
bucks.
less defended to dive in and murder probes. I also already had a Zealot defensively because I thought I was being rushed. So just sending this straight to the gold really messed the opponent up. Those were some adjustments, but this here was the set play. I make forward pylon. Me make forward pylon. Me make gateway audit. Me make stalkers off 4 gateway. Me kill you now. Very basic. Cargathus with the Prime Gaming. Welcome to Pigsty. Jay-Z Cast with the 7 months. Freddle with the 29-month resub. Guys, thank you very much for your love today. Of course, that goes on top of Absolox with the big 79 months. Aura Lock with the 2 months says, hi, Piggly Wiggly. Lone the Issuer with the 8 months. Hello, Pig. Have a great day, night, midday, morning. Time is fake. Hooray. We also had Jumpy Wizard Man with the Prime Gaming. The $1 tip from Scott. Free BSD Rocks with the 9-month resub. R. Luke Miller with the Prime Gaming. Rinicus with the tier 1. And Fazzy J at the start of today. Guys, thank you very much for the love. If you're enjoying the channel, please do click the sub button. It allows us to keep doing streams like this. Very, very, instructive streams like this. If you like Bronze to GM, please do put your subs and your cheers and your bits and your tips where your eyeballs are. Like Jay-Z Cast, drop 100 biddies. And I want to say a big thank you, Jay-Z. For those who don't know, it physically pains me, and I actually pay with a piece of my soul every time I have to level down an account to do a Bronze to GM. This is the 3rd and hopefully final ever time I do a Bronze to GM. I've already done one for Zerg, then for Terran, now for Protoss. But it does cost a little bit of my soul. So I hope you guys think my soul being paid in the essence of educating Protoss players how to not just use Void Rays and Cannons is worth it. Even if you're a Zerg or a Terran player, think about what I'm bringing to the ladder. Players using ground armies. A Protoss with solid macro fundamentals, ground armies, and actually interacting with their opponent. Holy shit. No Bronze to GM with random, chat's asking? That's literally just little pieces of the other 3 Bronze to GMs. The whole point of Bronze to GM is to like teach something and show it repeatedly. It's impossible with random. That's just like, hey guys, I'm gonna just do some shit because I'm a random player. I think if we did a random Bronze to GM, we would cross over into the realm of unmitigated smurfing. People are like, oh, but I want to see what changes when you're random. I'm like, well, some people like to do real flexible, intuitive cheeses and stuff, and I could do that for sure, but that's not really how I learned how to play random. I just grinded each race individually. I asked a lot of experienced pro gamers for advice. I studied build orders, and I figured out the fundamentals of how to play proper Terran and proper Protoss and all that sort of stuff. I didn't just hop on the ladder and just cheese people. Though I do that sometimes. Oh. Someone doesn't know how to counter something. This is my calling, telling people how to win StarCraft games. What do we got? PvP. Good luck, have fun, mate. Getty Lee.
You have not enough minerals.
We threw the mate in there. It's probably already overthinking it. Alright, guys. So we can set up our camera locations real early this game. PvP, so remember, power field just touching the edges there. We want to do this standard 2-gate PvP build. It's amazing how much you can get away with the 1-gate expand, but this does allow us to get so much more scouting while harassing our opponent, and it's pretty fantastic. Chrono boost, build the gateway, and then go for a scout. We go do the triangle around the minerals, and then of course hide behind the natural. Same as always. Get the gas started. Notice I queued him to go to the inside, because if I didn't do that, he would have ran over here to mine those minerals. These are the little things that when you play 40,000 StarCraft games, you start paying attention to this shit, guys. Trust me, if you've got like a full-time job and a family and you start doing stuff like that, you're probably playing too much StarCraft. Ease off, all right, guys? You're go, find your significant other and give him a fucking hug or something. You're probably playing a little bit too much, all right? We're just gonna attack him just in case, but this looks pretty standard. Why the backwards gateway? Doesn't that allow depths to shade in? Nope. Because we use a cyber core in the wall. It's a cannon rush thing. It stops them from building a cage there, and it means if cannons get up there, they're not in range of my primary gateway. My primary gateway, my first gateway, is protected. That's the whole reason for that. And check it out, guys. Opponent's doing a 1-gate expand. We've seen this a few times. Now remember, they will get ahead economically, but that's why we go 2 adapts. So we're going to do a 2 stalker pressure, then 2 adapts, and then the oracle. And we will be getting up our own expansion behind it. So all we need to do is see if we can get some damage. We might, if we're playing 2-gate versus 2-gate, maybe we keep the stalkers at home. But I think you could probably apply this format just about always, right? And we saw a second gas, a second pylon go down. Real standard stuff. Nothing crazy here at all, guys. So, oops. Oh, we didn't have the gas fully saturated. So with this build order, we could actually optimize this a little bit by making sure we pull off minerals onto gas a little bit more. Because Stargate's very expensive, guys. So obviously we're delaying Warp Gate a long time, but I think it would be a little bit better if we could fix that one up as well. So our Stalkers are going to go across, Control Group 1. We're just going to A-move them into the natural, and we'll micro them as we go. We do want to get 2 Adepts out, but let's get the Nexus first. Let's get Warp Gate. And yeah, that should be fine. So if you can get 2 Adepts started now, that'd be great. Because remember, we want those to pop out, get across the map along with the Oracle. For now, what are we doing, guys? We're queuing up just a few probes. So we're going to queue up a few probes and then... Oh, 2 Stalkers. Move in, shoot. Move in, shoot. And now, notice you can 4-shot probes. Did I click it? Let's kill the Stalker. I want to kill him, so we're going to see if we can get him with our healthy Stalker and then run away. Alright, that's enough damage for now.
Glory to the day.
We got a macro. So we killed a Stalker, we wasted some mining time. This is all great damage. We can now set our rally point there, transfer 4 probes. We've got these guys on a hotkey. Now at this point, your opponent could set up some proxy pylons and get you with their adepts. So I'm actually doing a really advanced tip. Let's build a shield battery as well, just in case. This really advanced tip is basically, we're going to just A-move these guys. So we've queued it to A-move there and there. Just likely pylon locations. That's what that move was. If you guys were looking at that going, what's he doing there? Pretty good move to do. We're going to go Robo Forge Twilight, remember? Same as we always do, guys. I know it's a lot of tech at once, but I think it's really worth it. And get another pylon up here as well. Okay, queue up a few more probes, and guys, let's go in. So we've queued the Oracle in. The Adepts are gonna... Whoa, okay, so they're just gonna dive in here. We're gonna hold position the Oracle so it doesn't go after those units. And what we're doing is we're just shift clicking. Oh wait, no, sync them up. So I had to resync them because they were shooting at different timers, which meant the shield battery was killing lots of stuff, guys. So now the Oracle, which has been held position, notice it's gonna shoot the Immortal if I don't focus fire. Okay? So this is all really advanced micro, don't get me wrong. And the Adepts are still there as well, so we just won the game with... Okay, we microed that a bit too well, synced it up a bit too well. I want to... Next time I do that, I'm going to space it up, okay? I'm going to space that one up next time. I'm going to space it out just to show you guys how we can distinctly do it, even if we're much slower as a player. Because I think that's a bit unfair, the way I did that, in terms of... you know, it's hard for you guys to look at that and go, oh, I can do that. I'll show you guys how to do that with something a little bit closer to platinum mechanics with slowing things down. We just won the game, of course, for those who don't know. Let's take the third. We get the gases up. Okay. What else, guys? We built an Observer. That's going to go across the map and just check what's going on out front. Behind this, we're making an Immortal. Remember, we could make more Stalkers now, or, since Charge is on the way, I like to go into those Zealots as early as possible. So it's always a judgment call, and we can just start warping in Zealots if we're worried about a counterattack, or if we're confident that our opponent's still reeling from our harassment, which normally they are. So when in doubt, I would say just do this. Lots of gateways. That brings us up to 8 gateways, right? Still building probes on the natural. We've got a third. You always want a pylon on the third as well. Now let's go take a look around with our probe. Our Observer, sorry, and just see what's up. He had an Observer, our opponent, so they very well could shoot us down. And you can see he's just reprobing up. And Sentry's going to try and kill us, so we'll run away. No worries. Alright, let's get a Warp Prism here. And let's get the Templar Archives. And let's get some more pylons. And alright.
You have not enough minerals.
A few more probes on our third base would be really nice. So remember, we want to go to about 52, 54 probes, something like that. Usually 52 in PvP is really nice, so we want 8 probes on the third. So if I've got 1 there, we're building 3 more. We can tap 4 more probes, 5 more probes, something like that. And that should get us to a really nice worker count. Now, we could chrono 1 more Immortal while we're waiting, or we could just go right now. But look at our army. It's really small. A lot of people, they're always like, dude, when do you attack? When do you pick when to attack? How do I choose? I can't choose when to attack.
Not enough minerals.
Once you've stopped building probes, which we're not queuing any more probes now, and then you've done nothing but build units for at least 2 full cycles of unit, at least a full minute, that's when an attack will be strong. And just think about that on a fundamental level. It's, you're not making any more upgrades, you've invested in those minutes earlier, you're not making any more workers, all you're making is fighting shit. So it makes sense that after 2 minutes of investing your entire economy, actions, APM, everything into fighting units, that your army will be at a natural strong point, right? And that's a concept which is a real kind of brain explodey moment for a lot of people when they realize that one. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, they're like, but what if he's doing this? What if he... Shut up. That's a really stupid way of thinking about StarCraft. I know it sounds, oh, I've got to counter his style, think about this. That should be the next layer that gets stacked on top of, I committed all of my money into army. I am now going to use that army to make an attack and try to kill my opponent. That's fundamental understanding. You layer the strategic stuff. You can do this if you want, guys. Chrono every gateway. Get your next weapons a bit faster. You layer that on top of your fundamental knowledge, okay? So you always want to go, okay, is it a good time to attack? Well, if you've just spent the last 2 minutes building probes and bases and very little army, probably not a good time to fight your opponent, right? But if you've done nothing but build Zealot Arc on Immortal like we're doing here, Guardian Shield right up there, get in there, Sentry, and look at how devastating that attack is. Once again, another opponent who's building Stalkers. I don't know who people are watching. My theory is Protoss players just only watch Parting Stream or Pro Play or something. But seriously, guys, I've been ranting about... Not interested, fair enough. I've been ranting about how bad Stalkers are for such a long time. And it's amazing to me that so many players are still making so many Stalkers. Because I just don't understand why people keep making Stalkers here as much as they do. Now, obviously, we just did way too much damage. Like I said, I won that game 5 minutes earlier. Opponent recovered their economy epically. They played a really good game to get their army value back that high. I'm actually incredibly impressed. But it's just this weird thing where so many Protoss players are just making Stalkers all game. And it's surprising for me that so many people are still just oh, I'm making Stalkers, because it's like, they're just not a good unit unless you use them in highly specific manners. It's like, so for me, if I see someone making Blink Stalkers and then running in and sniping things and blinking out and doing really cool map control plays with it, I'm like, I get it, you're playing Stalkers. You might be mismacroing terribly behind it, but at least you're playing to the strength of the Stalker. But if I see someone just macroing and massing up, and they're making past 5, 6, at most 7 or 8 Stalkers, I kind of go, why are you making that unit, you know? First, the 8 Adept push, I've seen Showtime wall off with a Cyber, says Legoland. Yeah, if someone's going really heavy Adepts, you can put down a big structure so they can't just click on it, kill it, and get inside, yeah. Yeah, the sub did come through. I believe there was an alert for that just 2 minutes ago. You might not have noticed it pop up. I've got it on my my app. No worries, Anthony. Used to mass Hydras till you were max supply, Nidus in with max upgrades, and wondered why your army didn't do damage. Timing is very important. This is why people are like, well, Pig just teaches people how to attack. That's not the best way to play StarCraft. I'm like, yeah! Units are only good at certain moments. Ah! You need to attack with them to learn when those moments are and understand their strengths and weaknesses. And they're like, no, just wait to max. I play in a way where every timing disappears, and so I learn nothing. And I'm like, please, everybody, start doing attacks so that you learn what's good and bad. It's much more exciting because you get a real tangible feel for, there is a window here where I'm really strong, I gotta do the damage. Or man, there's a window where I'm really weak. I've got to just turtle up. I got to get some extra cannons. I got to hang on, survive, because the moment charge and those 2 zealot warpins get in, man, I'm going to be so good. And like, I think that makes StarCraft so much more satisfying. Whereas if you're just sitting there building things and armies come out of the fog of war and kill you, StarCraft's not a very satisfying or fun game. It's really frustrating and shit when you don't understand what's happening, to be fair. Like, for me, I hate StarCraft. If I don't know what's happening, it just pisses me off, man. It makes me angry. So that's kind of why I try to teach people in a way where you're being proactive and you don't care if you win or lose because you're learning everything and you've got a clear strategic focus. So you're able to put your wins and losses and your successes and your failures in the context of, well, oh, running me charge lots into 20 Widow Mines in a big clump is not a good idea? Huh. So guys, we saw, I don't think there was too much lava stacked up there. There's only 2 eggs there. So this time we hung around against the Zerg just to see if he was stacking lava. My pylon's a bit late again, so that's going to delay my adept by like 5 seconds. So sloppy. So this adept pressure won't be as strong as my previous games ones, guys. But hopefully it's still decent. Just gonna put that Stargate in there. And we'll build another adept. Now remember, I sent the probe to just check for 3rd bases and then go home. Not a big deal. We're going to chrono that adept again in a moment.
Glory to the day
as well. And we're just going to check those 2 bases. We're going to chrono that.
Yes, Executor.
Remember, Zerglings could have run around and run up at the side of the map and come in and depower, and I would have to fight with a lot of probes. It's a scenario. That's okay, guys. That is okay. Now remember, it's most important for me to shade that adept across the map to join up with this one. If we want to be really advanced, what are we doing? We're going to cancel this. There's no way we commit to this. We're just counting. Oh yeah, there's a few workers there at least, so we know we're not being crazy all in. We're making an Oracle, rallying it off to the left. We're making another Adept to wall off, and that. And now these 2 Adepts are ready. Check it out. We see a 3rd base as well, so everything looks normal, guys. We're queuing more probes on our hotkeys, shading into the main, and we're going to try to run fast. Oh no, we're going to take some damage here. So we're just going to keep running here, and then we're going to go in the main, and we're going to just try and shift-click on some of these units. Actually, because he's running, try. Okay, now we just shift-click. They're going to die. That's fine. Let's get more there. And we did some really good damage there, guys. Now, because we got this Oracle, remember we hotkey it, and then we select the Stargate and we rally to the right side. Just remember, we're setting up 2 different Oracles. This guy, hold position in the wall as well. Okay? Now, what do we do next? Robo, Twilight, Robo Forge Twilight, Robo Forge Twilight. Same every game. And we also go out to our 3rd base, right? So let's go in. We'll try to do lasers on the first round, remember? Turn on the laser, and we can just kill 5 drones and run away. Now we're going to go that, and remember, what do we do, guys? We warp in 2 Adepts. We're going to click those between the pylon and the Nexus. Now that's a pretty bad pylon, because the edge of the Nexus is curved. This one's better, because that's deeper, and now, if you hold position the Adepts there, much more solid, okay? Get double gas. +1. Charge. Keep building probes here. And what do we do, guys? 8 more gateways. 1, 2, 3, 4 to start. Come back and build some more in a moment. Keep building probes, of course. And check it out. We've got the other laser guy coming in. I'm not even going to look at home. We're just going to kill those and run away, because there's a spore. You can't kill too many. And this one's just going to be a stasis trap. But, oh, we didn't turn its laser beam off. Oh, this should have had more energy by now. That's my bad, guys. I forgot to turn the laser beam off. I'm trying to show you guys the very hands-off way of doing it. I keep forgetting to friggin' turn the laser off. So that's, yeah, you gotta be careful with the hands-off approach with the Oracle. Click it back. Do remember to turn its laser beam off for it. Can't go in there very regularly. So we're gonna build 6. Is that too many gateways? That's plenty of gateways. Okay, that's 11 gates. That's heaps. That's heaps. So we're going to rally to the 3rd now, guys. And remember, what are we building? We get Observer. That's just going to go to the middle of the map. We've got that out there. Just going to make a Sentry. Immortals. We want to get a shield battery in here. About 53 probes is fine. Let's get the stasis trap, queue it up. This one can also come in, get a stasis trap, and then queue it up. And we can just keep an eye on it, but no spores there, so that's fine. We don't need to do anything special. That's all good. You can check our upgrades there, and if you want, you can chrono boost all 3 of those structures. That's part of why we put them together, guys. Really good choice to chrono boost those. And we're already going to start the warp prism, just to make sure we remember it. Now, obviously, if we're under attack right now, are we going to queue 2 units up? No, we'd cancel the prism, and we'd be focusing on warping in a few more zealots, wouldn't we?
It shall.
Focusing on warping in actual fighting units to help us out. Now, here's a tip. That pylon's exposed. It could die. So a pylon here to backup power that can be really nice. Okay? Now you can see my oracles almost have enough energy. So I'm just going to go in one more time with these bullshit stasis pressure harass. It's some of the most abusive stuff you can do. And I guarantee you, your opponents will hate you for doing this, guys. Now, my opponent actually put some queens in position. So you can see the oracles are starting to take some really big damage. Now, my observer's coming in, and we see drones going to a 4th base. So unlike games where I felt like I'm pretty ahead most of the game, this time we see if he's got drones on his 4th, he should be ahead economically. Now, he's a little down on drones on the 3rd. Maybe not perfect saturation, but definitely this is a greedy player, right? That's what I'm kind of cluing onto here, is this guy's really greedy. Now, check this out. What have I been forgetting? I keep forgetting to clear those observers, man. Or those overlords above my base. So that's definitely something we can improve in our game. If people are actually countering us and this sort of stuff, and we're kind of going, man, how are players always so prepared for what we're doing? Good idea to go and check on that, eh? So we're queuing up the prism to warp in here. Now we're going to do lots of zealots. We are a little bit supply blocked, but that's okay. Going to try and move forward as well. I'm going to go into the natural. I want to get right in the middle of the Zerg's production, guys. So we're going to go right in there. We're warping in lots more zealots. And even though he gets us around there and actually kills one of the Archons nicely, you can see I just have a big army and the opponent defending to 4 bases, 0 aggression, 0 attacks, and so yeah, just once again catching a player before they hit their power spikes. Let's go back a little bit. What spikes were they going to have? So they were on 61 drones versus 54. Okay, so you can see their worker management was really messed up by the stasis traps. They actually had a lot of idle workers at this point. 5 idle workers that they didn't put back to work. It's one of the most annoying things with the stasis trap, guys, is your workers won't resume mining after the stasis trap. It forces your opponent to do a lot of disruptive actions. It's one of the most frustrating things in the game to deal with. You can say undersaturated. This base, when I scouted it just before, was undersaturated as well. And the opponent's trying to get to 70 workers, but doesn't really have much map vision other than, oh, you took a 3rd, therefore I should be able to go 70 drone Hydra, right? But there's no upgrades or anything. And once again, we see the power of just making a lot of Zealot, Archon Immortal, and just going for a big old punch to the face. These games are really straightforward. And I think it shows just how kind of simple ladder games can be if you just make a good unit set and hit a good attack timing. Now, obviously, this is all coming off the back of my harassment, which is also doing really well. So, GG's. All right, guys, we got Protoss versus Terran. This is really cool. We've had very few PVTs. So we're going to try and do that 2-gas build here. Really cool opening. We're going to try and do the single adept pressure. And then we're also going to do the Reaper wall. We got 2,000 atmospheres. Woohoo! Pylon, gate, core. Woo. We could even build the gateway up there just to be a little closer at the front. We're going to double that worker on that patch while we're waiting.
You have not enough minerals.
There we go.
You have not
Good luck.
enough
Have
minerals.
fun. So notice we just double that worker up there. Why not? And there we go. So you want that power field to get right up there so you can go gate and core. Is the trick. Even though it kind of feels like they can jump to the right, they can't. And then of course we scout to that. Beautiful. Change the rally point back. The gas. And mine the minerals. So, go down there. Same scout as always, guys. Natural. 3rd. Notice I click on the minimap. 4th. 5th. And rally point. We want to queue up the probes, but remember we also want to rally our 19th one there. So this guy's army number 1. That probe, when it pops out, will be number 2, and we'll rally back to the gas. You see an SCV scout. This is very standard stuff. And we can build the Nexus.
Enough minerals.
And the Cybercore. Now, all you're looking for here is, oh, no second gas. Probably a standard build, but we'll confirm it in a moment on the natural. And awesome. So we build another probe. And we can build a second gas. If you want, you can block his base or zap him a little bit and then come home. If you want to be really annoying. But I'm pretty sure he's going to go for the command center anyway. Oops, bring this guy back. And he does. Cool, so we just go home with that probe. This time around is our second pylon on time. Still a second late. I'm really bad at this game, guys. So rather than messing around with my probes, I probably should have focused on my build order, shouldn't I? Chrono the Adept. Put that guy on gas. We did a little shuffle there. We need gas for our Phoenix. So when we're doing a Phoenix build here, it's the only matchup where we get to play with our Phoenix. Phoenix are a great controlling unit. They really allow you to shut down a lot of the cheeky pressures that your opponents can throw against you in this matchup. Now, because... Oh, I actually didn't wall off down there, did I? Okay. So you got to wall the other one. So I'll build the third pylon there. So we're chronoing the second Adept just to make sure it's fine. Notice we're rallying it out here to make sure it doesn't pop in the cage. And awesome.
Yes, Executor.
All we wanted to do...
Pylon is under attack.
Okay, that pylon is misplaced. Really? Can it reach from there, though? Apparently from there you could reach it. Okay, that's
Where
interesting.
shall we mark? Give us your command. Faith or fear.
Second and third gateway. I'll work on that Reaper Wall, guys. What can I say?
We serve.
We'll just run home with our
Glory.
Adepts here,
Not
okay?
a harm, enough.
Now, third Adept on the way.
Teleport successful.
Apparently Warp Gate never made? You kidding me?
Yes.
Oh no. What are you doing? Wake up! It's fine. So the Phoenix is just going to confirm if this is 3 racks or just 2 barracks, okay? So we're going to queue our Phoenix through, and remember, we like to rally our Stargate to our Phoenix, okay? Now behind this, it's always 3 gateways, then a third base, and then what do you do behind that? Forge and Twilight, so we can get up the upgrades. And indeed, there is a third barracks. He's already got a turret.
Glory to the Daylon.
Oh my, and a Marauder. What a weird build.
Glorious combat is upon us.
Wow. Twilight Forge. And we want to, of course, rally the probes over there. Get a pylon there. A little bit slow on the Phoenix production this game. That's okay. They're just sitting out front to see if he moves out. And notice 16, 16, 6 already rallied to the third base. Okay. So we're going to get Forge, +1, and then going to build lots of gateways. Keep building Phoenix for now. As they pop out, shift onto that army key.
Let your will.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you might be
Executor.
wondering, hey, if that's a big 3-rex attack, shouldn't you be building units? Well, we're going to bank on our opponent not being able to get across before charge is done. So I'm building 3 zealots right now, and we're immediately going to build another 3 gateways. Now, normally we build
Teleport successful.
a lot of gateways at once, right? So why are we building so few this time? The reason for that, it's very simple. Notice we can stack up here, so the Phoenix are all on top of each other like that. We can run away. So very simple, guys. Because his attack could hit, we can't wait to build every gateway at once. So we want to just start building a few at a time and just make sure we get up to that count. Now our Phoenix are just hanging around out front. Because we know he's defended there, let's go around the right side, come in for a wave of harassment, and we're going to use a probe to see if he moves across the map. In the meantime, we're just going to build a shield battery on each base, still probing up that, we're still chrono boosting charge, +1 attack. And remember, this is the scenario where actually we probably should have gone armor. That's okay. And look, he's actually got lots of turrets our opponent's built, so there's not really that much we can do, okay? So So anyway, we've got 5 Phoenix here. They're just going to sit there over this dead space. So even if he comes and shoots them, he can't really gun them all down, even if we're caught not looking. And notice we've got 3 mineral lands. What are we building, guys? Lots of zealots. Lots of pylons to help deal with our supply block right now. Logic! Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs, dude. You absolute savage. Let's go harass the main base. And also see, is there a 3rd command center? Hey, look, there is. And look, it's at 1, 2, 3 barracks. And we're starting to go medevacs now, we can see. And look, we can see the turrets there. So notice we stack up here to be out of range. Uh-oh, looks like our opponent's coming to push us. Notice how our money's banking up, guys? It's partially because of that supply block. So let's chrono all of our gateways. Add all these gateways, control click shift to that. And we're gonna go, hey, where is his army at?
Where do our
I know he
enemies
moved out there with something. So we're looking for his army right now.
Justice.
And there it is.
Our pylon is under attack.
And look at that, he's doing an elevator, very cute. So I'm gonna rebuild my Twilight Council straight away, guys.
Eager to
So notice we're going to shoot down the medevac while getting healed by our battery. And what we're going to do now is we're going to spend half the units over there. So what we did was we shift A moved those guys. And we can see that just having a giant army is so big. Still supply blocked. We lost a few more pylons. But notice we're just keeping it simple this game. I'm not bothering with the transition because our opponent attacked into us very heavily. We should have got the robo. That's the one thing that we kind of completely forgot about, isn't it? I guess we can build a 4th and a 5th base just because why not?
the skies.
Oh, he left the door open. Alright, just gonna gun down the medevacs. Notice we can kind of move the zealots in as well. GG. So that was a pretty messy game, guys. Lots of mistakes there. Lots of things to learn from. With me getting a little bit distracted right from the start and delaying my gas and all that sort of stuff. So normally we wouldn't go that high on gateways, guys. Normally we'd just go straight to 10 gateways, remember? But we ended up going a bit higher because we hit a supply block. Early game though, so normally against a 3-racks, I'd be more worried about a push. And I would build more adepts non-stop, right? So let's talk about why I didn't build adepts in this game, guys. So at this point, I've seen he's built a missile turret. So he's got to build an engineering bay and a missile turret. And he's probably going to build another one in his natural. This is crazy. If he's doing all that, there's no way he can be attacking me. Number one. Number two, that add-on was not down yet. Look at my vision. I didn't see an add-on there. So you can't really be building that many units right now either. And I even saw, like, it's 4 minutes and I saw 2 Marines and a Marauder. So I knew my opponent just didn't have much stuff. And my Adept already killed some SCVs and killed a Marine. And I've killed a Reaper. I just knew my opponent was not in a good state this game. And so I wasn't playing normal. I played very flexibly. It's the way it, yeah. It's the way it works, man. Just the way it works. So essentially, this was just, opponent was way behind. But where's me Phoenix? Why do I have 2 Phoenix only? That's really sloppy. So we should have had more Phoenix going in and picking off more SCVs, Marines frequently. If I already had 3 Phoenix, I could have come in, picked up the Marines, killed them, and then started picking up these fresh mules as they drop. If you see a mule drop and you can kill it, that is super valuable. It's insane. So why were we stacking the Phoenixes? Great question. So that's so they couldn't get attacked. Because air units, if you don't stack them, they naturally spread out. They all kind of bump into each other and they spread out. So they cover a big area. Which means if you're trying to attack something, you're going to be covering a big area of the map. So let's look at the depot example. Here, if I just run in and just click them here, they're going to spread across this whole area. They're all going to be getting hit. But if I click them back here and stack them, they can both pick up these SCVs and gun them down without the Marines really properly shooting them. So you can see I kind of show it here. See, the Marines couldn't reach, so we had to lower the depot to come around. Took me a little bit to get the range right. I don't use Phoenix very much, because I don't really know the exact distance of the pickup. But we did that again in a little bit over here, where, remember, I come in on this left side. Actually, I come in here first. So notice here, we probably would have stacked up there if we wanted to keep picking up SCVs. The reason I didn't, because I want to stack up here. If I don't, they're going to drift into turret range. The reason I don't do that is I know he's got plenty of Marines there that he can just stim on me. So I'm like, ooh, not worth the risk. This is the same thing you do with Mutalisks. Same thing you do with any air unit when you want to get them all on top of one space. So the Phoenix are going to come in, and once again, we don't want them to blossom into the turret range. It was kind of unnecessary here. I could have just picked them up. But I'm just trying to showcase you guys how you can try to squeeze those Phoenix together. Now, how do you do it? You use the magic box. What is the magic box? Whenever you have the units selected, so let's go back to the first depot example. There is a box around them that you can't see in the game engine. And anytime you give a move command, or I guess they're actually here, so say like there, you see those dots underneath them is where they really are, right? If you give a move command anywhere within that box, the units will break formation and clump up. They will all just try to get to that point that you've clicked on. But anytime you click outside of that box, say you give a move command over here, they will maintain their formation as they go there. That's how the magic box operates, okay? So notice whenever I click underneath, they stack almost perfectly on top of each other. So that's the magic box, that's just how the mechanic works for those of you wondering how to do it. If you guys want a video on it, just type !magic in my chat. Thank you so much, guys. Can we slap some bacon down and say a big thank you to goddamn Logic with the 5 gifted subs? Thank you so much, dude. It's been a real slow Bronze to GM day. Protoss players don't like me telling them how to win without cannons and Void Rays, apparently. But Logic comes in big anyway and says, I'm a Zerg player, and I'll throw you 5 gifted subs to these Protoss cretins. If anyone can convince them to stop building Void Rays and cannons versus me, it might be Pig! Thank you very much, Logic. Thank you very much, mate. Actually, wait, that's not Logic Soldier. This is Logic. I'm getting my Logics confused now. I forget. Does Logic play Zerg as well? I know Logic's been around forever as well. When doing multiple pickups for the Phoenix group, the group gets deselected randomly. That's because you're clicking on a unit. So what's happening is if you're using J, so for me it's J, say you go J click, J click, J click. If you mistime that, what's happening is you haven't pressed J. So you've just done a lift on a unit, and then you've just left clicked a second time, and you've actually selected a Marine. So that's what's happening there. So you might find it's easier for you to either rapid fire your lifts, or to just use the built-in toggle. Hold down J, and then go click, 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 pass them. Almost as powerful as having the Artosis input on the stream, which personally is always my favorite.
Protoss. 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 Protoss.
Oh, I don't know how to wall this. Is it even possible to wall this one off? I don't think it is. Oh. Alright. I don't think there's a guide to walling off this map, right, guys? I don't think there is. At least this should stop it jumping to the south. Anyway, sorry, my opening's kind of sloppy this game, guys. Everything's going to be a little bit late. We've got another PVT player, another Terran player, which is awesome. Trung, go, SC. All right, let's do it. All right, so we're going to just do a little loop-de-loop, hide behind the natural, same as always, guys. Get our camera locations up here. Awesome. You tuck the pylon in the other corner. In there? You tuck the pylon in there, do you? Really? Does that work? Yeah, I haven't actually paid attention when pros do it. Pylon there? People are saying no. Anyways, this is really sloppy, guys. Let's focus on the build, shall we? I think if I put another pylon there, I think it does wall off though. So that's kind of something. I think that's a wall off, right? It'd be so funny if you could just jump to the south. Anyway, let's see if this works. We're gonna play wall discovery here. I think this should work. It's not great having my only first 2 pylons there, but whatever. We'll make the most of it.
Additional pylons.
Oh my god, that's a quick Reaper, guys.
Your probes are under attack.
So we're doing super advanced probe micro
The
here.
firstborn
Let's stop
shall
doing that.
persevere. Najakar Mina.
And that should kill him. So
Yes,
select the probes,
Executor.
go back, chrono the probes, get warp gate, get a second adept.
Where shall we march?
So the trick there is you select the adept. After you A move at the Reaper, you select the adept shade and you right click that on the Reaper and it'll automatically follow it. And unless they break that shade follow by jumping up a cliff, it should be effective. So that's what we should have just done from the start. I was doing really fancy shit there because my opening is so delayed that I was a little thrown off. Now remember, what are we doing, guys? We're checking to see if the factory is on the reactor in the wall.
Iron shall yes.
It doesn't look like it is, and we can even get in, kill an SCV, and then we can just recall out,
Serve with pride.
and we're just gonna leave. Okay?
Teleport success.
They let you in. Not a bad idea. You don't need to, but we decided to just commit,
Combat away.
get in there, and now our Phoenix are coming across the map, and we're just gonna rally to the front. Let's get a pylon there as well. Keep building these. We probably should be chronoing not probes, but actually the Phoenix. And we also, what do we do, guys? Second and third gateway into the third base, okay?
Teleport successful.
So we're gonna take that, get the probe out there.
Combat away.
Next chrono will go into that for sure.
We serve. Najakar.
Should have it in a moment. Remember, we want to go up to 5 Phoenix non-stop production, okay, guys?
Yeah.
I am eager to
Now,
strike.
let's try to fly in here. Maybe we catch him as a medevac's coming out.
Shall persevere.
If you do, it's pretty sick. Didn't quite manage to kill it, but maybe we can now. So there you go. Then we go third base, pylon.
Teleport
Keep building. So how many is that? 4? So we box that. You see we just need one last Phoenix. Twilight Forge. We don't want these gases, remember. So just rally out to the third. We don't need these gases.
additional pylon.
And now we can just come around this side. So what do you do, guys? Come in from a surprising angle always. So we come in from there, and that's when we'll do the damage. Keep building probes. Keep building pylons. And we just kind of go, okay, move there. And the Phoenix can just fly through. We're actually out of energy, so there's no reason for them to pull those away. We've seen a big sign of greed, guys, in that third command center. And I don't think we've seen a fusion core. If we had seen bubbles on that, that would mean Banshee, and we would respond by building a Banshee, a cannon in each mineral line. If we had seen a fusion core, we'd know battle cruiser, and we'd probably want to go blink instead of charge then, and just make lots of stalkers would be the way to do that. I think that covers most of the responses to that. As it is, it's probably just a Raven, which is a really weak unit against the Phoenix. Phoenix will go back across. They've got some more energy now. We're doing a big gateway explosion. So that's a lot there. And then we can go 1, 2, 3. I think that's more gateways even than we need. And then lots of pylons behind it. We're not going to bother with the Templar Archives, remember? And let's see, what do we see here? Oh, there's a tank there. So we can pick up a tank. And you can see Ravens take tons of bonus damage. Phoenix are able to pick up units. Now, here's a little trick that a lot of people make a mistake on, guys, and that is lifting in the wrong direction. So I'm gonna show you guys something just with the express purpose of showing you how to do it wrong. So notice your Phoenix have a kind of slow turn speed. So if I pick up units behind me, you see how awkward it was on the pickup there? Let me show you again. And then your units aren't quite in range as well. So you want to always try to make sure you're facing the direction you pick up, and look at how much smoother that is. Much smoother. But if you do it behind yourself, things can get really awkward, okay? So try to always make sure you're aware of which direction the Phoenix are facing, and that'll help out a lot. So these guys are just going to sit. Remember, always sit over some terrain so you see them moving out. They work like observers, but your opponent can't really chase them down there.
Skies await.
Not with those ground units anyway. So we've got +1. Remember, we should be going armor, but I keep making +1 attack out of habit. Are we no longer going adept? We're doing different builds in each matchup. We're in Platinum League now, Twitch chat. We're doing different builds in each matchup. Now, I think I had more pylons queued, but I accidentally locked this probe in a cage.
You must construct additional pylons. Warp field online.
So obviously our opponent's very turtled up and is trying to just transition. I don't know if they're going mech or bio, but it shouldn't really matter. Now, we were talking earlier about how we wanted to go disruptors after this, and I'm realizing that there's no way we're going to ever get to the point where we need that transition or it makes any sense to do it until we're in a much higher league. So instead, we're just going to start taking 4th and 5th bases behind it. And that's about it, and just killing people. I do keep forgetting the robo for the warp prism. I do keep forgetting that. Something else. Pylons, guys. PVT. We've played very few PVTs today, so I'm a little bit slow on the pylons. But if you put pylons along the edge like that, oh, it's so good for spotting. So good for spotting. Anyway, let's go win the game, shall we? Let's go win the game. This game's basically over. You can see the opponent's macro early game was just very weak. It took a lot of damage. So normally you'd use the robo for the forward warp-ins on the warp prism. So we'd want to have that much sooner. So that's something we should look at in the replay of this game. For now, guys, let's do a nice little A move. Pick up some tanks if we can. Just go for marine pickups, actually. And let's try and move some zealots up the ramp as well. You can see just lots and lots of zealots catapulting in there. The opponent just got a little bit too turtled up, I think, and in their own head, and was trying to do battle cruises as well as bio. So yeah, I kind of sensed there was some a little bit of that stuff going on there. So let's look at the build order, guys. When should the robo go down? Because remember, it's real simple in that it's just you get 3 adepts, you get Phoenix up to 5, you get a 3rd base after, so you go 2nd and 3rd gateway, then 3rd base, then Twilight and Forge, and then we get a big gateway explosion. I think there's an argument behind just get the robo straight away, just so you don't forget it. But otherwise, it's probably going to be right after your gateway explosion happens, around when, you know. You know what? I think we're just going to add the robo in there, because it's not the tightest build anyway. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, I think we'll just go... Squeeze a robo in there as well, because you should have enough gas off 2 gas to do it, and then you just go to 10 gateways, make a ton of zealots. You got zealots Phoenix, and because the opponents are just kind of getting hammered just by the Phoenix harass, the adept harass, that sort of stuff, they're all taking so much damage, and none of them are really doing anything impressive to us either. It just feels like we're so far ahead from so early. It's 29 SCVs versus 57, you know. It's just an absolutely one-sided game there. Alright, guys, what do we get? PVZ versus a burger person! Oh no! America's coming for us. America's like, stop trolling my ladder, dog. Stop it, bro. We got music on? So quiet. Pylon's going to be delayed a little bit there as we're tabbing out to get our music done, but other than that, should be fine. Shouldn't affect too much anyway, as long as we hit everything else okay in the build order. Obviously, it'll just delay this next probe a little bit. So our supply is going to be a few seconds behind there. It's alright. Chrono boost. Take the gas. Queue up extra probes. Let's get our camera location 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the rally point. I guess it's more of a warp-in point for Protoss, right? As the game goes on. Still call it the rally point. We see a hatchery first, so we don't have to worry about any 12 pull this game. And we're going to leave that probe in there, just because we have faced 1 or 2 people trying to rush us with Zerglings. We're getting used to adding that reaction in that I talked about earlier today, which is just checking to see if they're saving lava. Seeing if they're going to pull off a cheeky one. So we go 20 Nexus. Whoops, we accidentally queued another probe there. That was a mistake. So there we go. 20 Nexus, 20 core. Then you resume probes. Then you take a second gas. And then we're going to take that second pylon in a moment as well. We're going to build that one right out here. Lots of production space on that. And what are we looking for? This was hatch, gas, pool. Very standard build. All we're looking at is when that pool finishes, are there lots of lava saved up? And the answer is, just looks like 1. Totally standard. We're just going to check if there's a really quick third and then send it home. Not even important to do that. We could just send it home. And that would be totally fine. Alright guys, just rallying those. 3-3. So that's 3-3-6. 6 on the gas, 16 on the mineral, sorry is what I'm saying. Chrono the second adept. Shaded across. Remember, first one is checking, third base, and if we're being all in. First thing we're doing is just shading it into the natural, okay? In the meantime, what are we doing back here?
My man!
We're gonna make a warp gate. We're going to make a third adept. Shade that in. And remember, we're just going to look at it. We're queuing up more probes off our hotkey while we do it. And cancel. You see Zerglings popping out. Could be an all-in. Not necessarily.
Yes,
So these guys, I'm just going to go check the other third base. Oh. Okay.
Give us your command.
So guys, nice starter step here. Don't know if we're being all in or not, but we've got an adept there. Stargate's up, we'll make an oracle, it'll confirm what's up. And he's adept, going to check for the other third. And we did some very fancy micro there. If we wanted to just shade back, that's fine. Either way, shield battery, immediate wall off. Safety precautions are in place. Adept is on hold position in the wall. We can heave a sigh of relief here. And now we can go back to doing normal things, okay? And look at this, there's still more Zerglings. So our opponent is just making lots of Zerglings to fight us for some reason. I don't know why. They don't have a lair. They're making spine crawlers in their main base. So this play doesn't really make any sense. But we kept these guys here to check for the all-in. And it looks like there isn't actually an all-in. No worries. So let's continue our build, okay? So we're going to take the third, build a pylon. Twilight Forge Rover will go down soon. We're just going to kill these Zerglings, I guess. So I did hold position there. I'm doing hold position because otherwise it'll go fight the Queen. I just got kind of surprised there by what was going on. So that's on number 2. This one's going to go on number 3.
Oracle perceiving.
I'm going to micro those in a little bit. So we got a third there. Walk in the 2 adepts. That's it. What did we talk about this pylon positioning, guys? We talked about it being super shit. You want to have it in line with the Nexus, not on a diagonal, especially not on a diagonal with a Nexus, which has rounded edges. At this point, guys, we're going to go stasis trap. Stasis trap. But wait a second, there's a spine there, dummy! So that's a lesson, guys. Don't do it versus spine crawler, okay? Don't work versus spine crawler. It don't work. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to use our oracles together. Let's get an observer, +1 charge. Okay, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. That's going to get us up to 8 gateways, guys. We've already got the observer. Send an observer forward as well.
Threads of fate lie there.
What we're doing here is we're just going to fight the queen. Oh, looks like we didn't turn off my laser earlier, maybe? A bit lower on energy than I realized. And that's as many probes as we need, guys. Remember, we only like to half saturate our third. Let's keep chrono boosting the robo. We're missing the Templar archives. Toasters needs some friends over here. Okay. So we want to chrono boost out another immortal and a warp prism.
How can I aid you?
And we want to wait until you have at least 35 energy if you want to use lasers. If you want to use stasis traps, you can do it with a bit less than that. Now, we still don't know what my opponent's up to tech-wise, but we figured their start was so inefficient. And what's the standard thing we scout for versus Zerg? Saturation. So look at this. What do we see, guys? Very few drones. Mine, more saturated. So this is another one of these games where we find ourselves ahead on everything. Ahead on absolutely everything. Remember, we're also making zealots, guys, so we do want to go at least 10 gateways. And we could easily go 12 gateways. So let's do 12 gateways this game, especially since you see we've already got a little bit of money. So what do we need? Lots more pylons. Lots more pylons. Prism's almost out. Let's do our first round of Archons here. So we morph them all. We got that. We're realizing once again we've let our opponent perv on us this whole time, and we're going to punish the burger person for watching us get changed. Don't leave in privacy, you piece of shit.
Upgrade complete.
And then we're going to go across the map,
Rashagal.
and we see Hydra, Roach Hydra. It's a very standard composition, very good composition, but very low numbers. Look at my army, big blob. Them, small blob. So if you guys really want to get good at judging army, you want to use the blob technique. So you want to just look at your blob of units. Don't spend time thinking about what they are. Just go, my bigger or his bigger? And if he kind of looks at you like, that's really weird, stop staring at my junk. Tell him, dude, I got to know what's in my territory. I got to guard myself, you know. So don't be afraid to size up your opponent. Zerg, Protoss, Terran. You've got to take a look and just check out what they're packing. One more Zealot Warp in and let's go. So we're hitting at 8 minutes 30 with 160 supply of Zealot Archon Immortal. We forgot the Sentry this game. That's okay because A move is powerful. Now, don't get me wrong, we can do things like that. Let us move behind to get the full surround them. We can also kind of stutter step the Archon Immortal. You don't really want to do that with the Zealots too much. We could do it with the Archon Immortal. We move, attack, move. Obviously, this is just game over. We just got way too much stuff. Now, if you're afraid of what you're going into, guys, you can do moves like this ahead of time. What did I just do with my oracles? I went Revelation, Revelation, Revelation. I've queued them to go do some revelations around and see what's ahead. So if you're ever attacking blind all the time, find the time in between to get an oracle to go tag something and kind of check out what's going on. This is obviously just yet another game where just sending a few adepts across the map is just way too abusive for Platinum League, is what we've found, guys. It's just way too powerful. Our opponent didn't spread their overlords at all or set rally points on their hatcheries, and kind of just chased adepts off creep. So we thought we were getting Zergling all in. It turned out our opponent actually had a really good drone count early, but for some reason went double gas, and I think this player actually has never copied a build order, but is actually insanely talented at RTS games, or with just generally the fact that they're doing so much stuff. It's actually kind of sick. This player is actually kind of awesome. This player like learned a proper build order, they would improve so much. Because they do actually do quite a lot to recover their economy and stuff. So I'm kind of impressed. GG, well played. Tips against Biomech Terran, says Oxy. If you have a solid game plan, easiest win of your life. Biomech's not good because their upgrades are split and all their production facilities are split. So it takes them forever to get set up. So Biomech is not really good ever. And it's kind of a common Silver League conundrum that I point out. Is people trying to do it and they end up just not committing to one thing enough, and they just end up in a really bad spot. So it's objectively one of the worst things they can do. is biomech. TY tried to make it work a few times, but it's not great. This is a random player, so we are going to scout a little bit earlier, and we're going to go for the low ground wall off as if we're playing against a Zerg. Now, you might be like, well, what? Why? It's because, remember, we did this in the lower leagues. It's the low ground wall off. You can low ground wall off versus any race. It just simplifies your gameplay and makes everything a little bit easier, okay? So, standard build order, all of our builds start off the same, guys. Nothing changes, and then we see what we're up against. Oh, cool. It's a Zerg, and they're going hatch first. Well, that's the dream. I literally don't need to change anything. Okay. So the only difference is we sent the scout out 20, 30 seconds earlier. And that's it. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So we're going to go for the Nexus and then the Cyber Core guys. Add to control group, send to camera location. Remember, why is our probe left on the other side? Well, we'll look at it in a moment. We'll check that lava count before we bring it home, okay? Spawning pool's still nowhere near done, so no need to come home yet. We queue up another probe. We start a second gas. And like I said, guys, if you don't want to do the probe hanging around, you want to just send it home, that's actually what I advise for most of my students who are around Plat. So don't worry. That's actually probably what you want to do with your APM constraints. I'm doing this just because people are always negging me in chat saying, "Ree, you died to a Zergling all in." I say people, Max Sam, it's just one guy. Gets on my nerves though, doesn't he? Like, you died to a Zergling all in, pig. And I always say don't do it. As long as you get your Adept on time, chrono it straight to their natural, and then chrono a second Adept behind it, you're safe versus just about everything anyway. Now this is one of the smaller maps, so this is the sort of the map where you can get in big trouble. I'm actually going to go on the top side just because I saw Zerglings heading that way, guys. So, oh yeah.
Give us your command.
Okay, so we're going to just use our Adepts to clean up these Zerglings.
The firstborn shall persevere.
Now you might be like, whoa, what? You're still going across this map? It's called being a Chad gamer, guys. We're going to build a second gateway a bit early, put a probe on hold position in the wall, and we have a third Adept building straight away. And we're chronoing an Oracle. I think we're going to be fine. The Zerglings definitely look like the front runners of an all-in, but we went back to clean them up, and as soon as they were getting cleaned up, we were fine. Now remember, we want to threaten 2 bases at once, so shade into the main, and we're just A-moving here. We don't need to target fire against the Zerglings because they're not the most important target. And what are we going to do, guys? We're just going to shift click these drones and go back to micro. Okay, go back to micro. So, I do want to build a Stalker this game, guys, and the reason is there's a pervert inside my base, and that makes me very uncomfortable. I don't like my children being surrounded by these sort of shady characters. Watching them, it makes me very uncomfortable. Alright, so let's send the Oracle in straight away, guys. That looks like a Spore Crawler, so we're going to immediately go past the Spore Crawler on the bottom. And then we're going to go hold position. So this time I'm hold positioning so I don't chase into the Spore Crawler if those drones run away. And then I'm just going to run away, okay? So we don't want to run into the other base, we're just going to try and run out this way, okay? And look at that. Whoa! What's going on here? Where'd they come from? Oh my. That was kind of scary. We're going to put an Adept there, and then the other Adept, of course, can go down there. That was a very quick response. These sort of scenarios, you may react a little slower. But even if they got in, we could have A-moved our probes on them. The Oracle is there. And you can see this Oracle is just going to hang out defensively.
Our window is short.
And we're just going to queue up the stasis trap there as well. There's not even any drones there. It's a stasis trap. Robo, Twilight Forge. Let's make sure they're all hotkeyed. One more Adept there just to be totally solid. Oh, shield battery is what I'm trying to build. Let's chrono do some probies. And As soon as one more probe comes out, we can rally to the third. I'm waiting for that. 16. Woohoo! Rally to the third. Okay, so check it out, guys. Looks like my opponent's being chill, but if you're worried, this is a really small map. They could attack me, right? Oh, we see drones popping out. That's one of the best things you can see to confirm a Zerg's not attacking you. What? Other than, do they have drones? And we see no drones here, which is obviously, ooh, but remember, we did a lot of damage. If we see that they're building drones, there's drones popping out rather than military units, you know they're not really committing to a big attack, right? Now remember, we still need urgency around getting our gateways. This is something a lot of people kind of misstep on. And the reason they do that is they don't have urgency. Keep in mind, we are at our core being a greedy piece of shit. 6 minutes in, we've taken a third, we're probing that third, and we've only got 2 gateways. For the love of all that is holy and greedy Protoss players everywhere, every second matters when you're closing the distance on that, okay? Everything. There's that gate there then, won't we?
Ayesh.
Alright, so a few more probes there on the natural. Actually, we don't even need them, guys. We're on 55 probes. Alright, guys, so I feel like there's no threat anymore. So what are we going to do? Stasis trap. Look at this stasis trap. So I'm coming from this angle so that my Oracle will not get hit by the Spore Crawler. Fortunately, it's blocked. Ah, it's not blocked, actually.
We need
Woohoo! And that one is going to disappear because there was a Spore moved into position. Well done. I don't like this guy. He's really triggering me with his scouting. Okay, guys. Do we have the warp prism yet? We do not. There's only 9 gateways? Oh, it should be 10. There we go. They just weren't all in the control group. Alright, guys, so we're going to scout the third again. So what are we scouting? I already mentioned it many times, but drone count. Still not many drones, lots of roaches. Big sign of aggression from my opponent. Definitely something that scares us. You know what also scares us? It's time for me to fight. To go do my push. You know what really sucks this game? I forgot my Templar archives. We also didn't build all of our extra pylons yet. So our production is coming to a standstill. That sucks. That's not good. So let's just keep revelating. Is this army? Oh, they've got banelings as well. Finally, we get a baneling player. Awesome. So we get to see that micro I've been talking about where you've got to pull the zealots back. I've been talking about this. I've been like, eventually we will play someone who has banelings. Alright, guys. Now Templar Archives is up, so next round of production is going to all be Archons. Let's go around, chrono boost all of those, and let's do it. Okay? Okay. Let's see. We can clear the watchtower. Might have a Zerg going down there. Does he see me? Oh, he doesn't have anything there. That's good. Might not know this attack is coming then. That's always good for us. Oh, hello! Oh, oh, whoa, whoa! Run! Well, fight! It's only got 2 banelings in there, actually. So we don't even need to worry about those. Oh, this feels mean. I kind of just threw that down just randomly. And,
Base is under attack.
keep an eye out for lots more banelings coming. I think we're good to just jump on top, though, because he doesn't really have a critical mass. So normally, if he actually had lots of banelings, right? We can try to catch those guys. We would just control-click the zealot, use the bottom display bar. Control-click the zealots. If you want to move those around separately from your army, control-click in the bottom bar. Easier than control-clicking on screen, okay? Much easier. Let's go for it. Notice we're grabbing the Archons and the Immortals. We're also control-shift-clicking there to select all of the unit type and add them to selection. And it's just an obscene amount of zealots. Man, Protoss armies are so hard to control. Okay. Why does Zerg and Terran get A-move armies and we have to use all these spells? I know it's hard to activate Guardian Shield, guys. It's hard. What can I say? Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. Embrace the power of the zealots. Embrace the power. I also keep wanting to show you guys. Remember, I keep wanting to run into an army that's big enough to scare me. Because how would I set up that attack differently? I would. Zealots on the top. Zealots on the bottom. What did I just do? I just dumped those zealots off my hotkey. and they're waiting up there. Don't get spotted by that Overlord. I'll be waiting here. And then I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then maybe I'd get the Warp Prism in the main, we'd queue that one, and then these guys come in from here, and then we're like, attack this side, but then these guys are clicked in the natural, and then we warp in the main with a Prism at the same time, and, you know. But because our opponents don't have an army that can actually beat us, we're kind of just going, oh, I just A-moved, and that's it. I deserve it. Absolutely. Yes. I already am, for sure. I am a little coward. It's smurfing, mate. It is pretty shit. But they played pretty good now. GG. And we make it to Platinum 1. All right. Woo, 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 woo. In Platinum 1, things are going to change a little bit because we are just winning way too much with Adepts and Oracles. And I think it's time to try out some new units, everybody. Simply for my sanity. Because let's revisit Adepts and Oracles later when people actually know how to defend them. I did not think they would be this drastically effective, but we are literally just winning with Adepts and Oracles, and it's kind of hurting me. It's hurting me inside. I keep thinking we're going to run into some stiff opposition. I think in Platinum 1, we're going to ease off those units, and we're going to try and let our opponents get set up a bit more. I think a lot of people in Platinum have some fantastic macro. So I think we're going to change things up a little bit in Platinum 1.